What is up, people? Welcome back to the FNtasia podcast. We are here today to talk about the semi-finals of FNCS that just concluded on the weekend. And then, of course, FNCS Grand Finals coming up this weekend as well. Should be very, very exciting to break down and talk about. I'm joined by three amazing hosts that, just know everything about Fortnite, clearly, as we have highlighted in the previous 5 episodes. Reese Hub, the big dog, welcome back. How you doing, mate?
Thank you. I'm good. I was sad to miss last week's episode. I was away, not doing anything interesting whatsoever.
Kind of trolled us. Like
I know. Yeah. So wait, you got SPG on, didn't you, instead of me?
We did get SPG on. We needed some NA.
Yeah. So I'm back to clearly be the bias of EU. No one here is calling NA shit outside of me, so I feel like that was missed a lot last week. So it's good to be back.
I think Boop has his fair share of NA is shit.
But like a straight sentence just saying NA is shit in like 3 words, you know.
I watched back-to-back North American heats this weekend. Like I have enough to say about NA, dude. Don't worry, man. It's coming.
Fair enough. Well, how are you doing, Boop? How are you?
I'm well. You know, I mean, like I said, I put in a shift this weekend. Watched first time ever EU heats and NA heats together because they actually moved the times for once, which is great, you know, making it EU friendly. So, you know, it was great until, upper bracket 3, and then that wasn't that great for NA, but other than that, it was okay.
Harry, how's your, I think I know how your week's been, but...
pretty chill. Nothing that major happened, to be honest. It was just a nice chill weekend, you know, no one really talking about me. It was pretty quiet in my eyes.
Let's just talk about it, man. Harry got owned yesterday on Twitter, guys. Let's just get right into the good stuff, man. Harry got owned yesterday, bro.
Whoa. We don't know it's me. Know it's me.
I'm checking hair colors in the community. Blood is blonde. I have black hair. Sven has blonde hair.
It could be someone else.
It could have been Rise. It could have been Rise, honestly.
Yeah, it was Rise of the
Could have been, yeah. It could have been.
Maybe. All right, you know what? Let's get the tweet up so that the viewers can try maybe figure it out for themselves, all right? Let's see. We aren't too sure who Thomas was talking about. So let's see. Okay, here it is.
I mean, Harry can't see that tweet, though.
Yeah. This is the first time I'm seeing this.
After Thomas and Queasy qualified to grand finals, Thomas tweeted a picture of Messi doing the shush and said, "Coach Ginger, real quiet right now." I mean, I don't know who he's talking about. I'm not sure.
It could be anyone. It really could be anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, right. Realistically, like it is. I found it quite funny. I didn't realize if you want my opinion, who I thought it was gonna be Queasy, who was probably gonna tweet at me or anything like that. I expected it to be Queasy. But no, I like what I said on Twitter. I agree with. Like, it was nothing personal. I felt like they were playing bad. I said they were playing bad, and they Thomas didn't take it too nicely, which fair enough. If he didn't want to take it too nicely, that's fine. I have nothing against it.
Just double down, Harry. Like,
if
it was me personally, I'm not saying I have this opinion, but if I was you, I would say they were lucky. They're getting last place in grands because they're con. Like, you know, put out one more statement to him. Say you have the platform now to talk to Thomas face to face because he blocked you. So you know what do you have to say to him now, Harry?
I mean, yeah, they're lucky, I guess. No, I mean, we'll talk about them when we get to talking about the Grands teams. But yeah, I mean, like, if they played well, they played well. I can't hate on it. You know, they qualified through. I actually thought they were probably more going to struggle through lowers than in the finals. I thought that, you know, the way they were playing their end games, I'm still not fully convinced by it. But the experience they have in finals lobbies clearly showed, and yeah, they qualified Grands and we got a funny tweet out of it, so it's all good.
Hey, the streets are saying you ain't standing on business, though, man.
No, you ain't.
You ain't standing on it, bro.
What do you want me to say? That Thomas is shit? No, of course I'm not going to say that.
Ooh, clip that up, guys.
Clip it and cut it.
No, it's my job is to be analytical about it. If I watch a team and I think they're bad, or if I watch a team and I think they're good, I'll give my opinion on it. I'm not afraid to say my opinion on if I think a team's playing bad. That's what I said at the end of it, was like, if I think a team's playing bad, I'm not going to shy away and say whoever they are. I'm not going to say, oh, they're playing good because, you know, they've got followers and whatever. I'll say if they're playing bad if I feel they're playing bad.
I just thought it was funny how like he responded, because like in all of this, because this has been like an ongoing thing now for like the past couple of weeks, right? With more so with Queasy though, right? Like you said, you would have thought it'd be Queasy that tweeted. Like Thomas was just like radio silent. With like what I know about Thomas, where like he's not very locked into Fortnite. I thought like he probably just doesn't even have a clue that any of this is going on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
seen it,
like I was like, Thomas probably hasn't seen this. Like, he probably doesn't even know. He's playing Counter-Strike or some shit. He doesn't actually have a clue what's going on. And then he makes that tweet, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I think you rattled him a bit, man. You got to him clearly. I did not think he would make a tweet. I don't know. It caught me off guard.
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll take the percentage of their grand earnings. I think I gave them the motivation they needed.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it goes to show like how much like even a random ginger coach would affect a millionaire Fortnite player. Like our words have power here.
I think well, that's true. Firstly, FNtasia podcast is going global right here.
Yeah.
Firstly, we've got our
most diverse podcast for sure.
Absolutely, the most diverse Fortnite podcast. I think what's funny is that like there's a bit of a duality between the two responses, and it actually kind of reflects like I'd say their personality quite well. Because Queasy was like, yeah, I get it. There's criticism, and we weren't playing good in response. But I think if you know Thomas and how like competitive he is, if you ever say to someone that he's like not the best Danish player or he's not the best player, like he's genuinely the most competitive person probably in the Fortnite scene. So like, when I look at the responses, it's actually very, very fitting based on like their mentalities individually,
100%. Thomas, like I've told the story before. Thomas is the kind of guy where like he hates to lose. He hates to be. That's why like the fact that he's never won an FNCS is like more painful when you know his personality, because he is like the most passionate like winner that I've like, in terms of just like being a winner, as ironic as it might seem, like he is like one of the biggest winners that I've seen in this com. Like to the point where, I'm not good at Fortnite. I think everybody knows that. I remember 1v1 in him in creative, right? And like he refused to like let me get one win. Like, like there's times when I've 1v1 pros and like I'll win a round and like nobody cares because it's like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like luck, whatever. I won for Thomas. He would like, I remember I won one round and he was like, all the excuses and what, like, you're lucky, this, that. And then the next like 10 rounds, I couldn't build before. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he would just get me. Like, he's so competitive.
He's basically the Kanye of Fortnite, I'd say then, right?
I don't know if that's a comparison you want to have in this day and age.
Maybe not.
Rewind 2 years, then say that sentence.
Maybe rewind 5 years. Maybe.
Yeah. I also think what's really interesting about that is like we, as a group on that podcast, all were quite in agreement with what Harry was saying. We were all like saying the same thing. We were like, I mean, they've been playing kind of shit. Like, sure, things haven't been going well off spawn, but I feel like they should be doing better. And I think all four of us unanimously were nodding in agreement there. But it's just like, fuck you, Harry.
It's always the person that says it,
Yeah.
The person that says it. It's the person that says it first. That's
True.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I think it's just funny. I think, as you said, I just found it funny because I was in a call. I was just sat there watching the lowers, and then someone was like, "Oh, have you seen Thomas's tweet?" And I go to look for it, and I can't find it anywhere. I just see all the ads and everything, and I was just like, you know what? It's funny. It's if I'm gonna say they're playing bad, he has all the right to say that back. I have no hard feelings at all. I found it quite funny.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, it was true though. That's the thing. Like they haven't been playing good. I think like the obvious caveat to they have been playing bad is I don't necessarily think out of all of the teams that we have there who have not been playing good this season that they're going to do bad in grands comparatively, right? Like they could do horrible all season and you'd be like, yeah, probably still easy top 10, even if they had like an awful cash cups, FNCS qualifiers, and all that kind of stuff. There's a very important caveat to be made.
Yeah.
I'm ready for my for whatever I say this podcast. Whatever will get clipped
whatever
up.
you say.
Yeah, whatever's gonna happen.
I
You don't know what's gonna come out, huh?
I think Clutch has already clipped you saying he's shit and posted it. So that's
There you go. Perfect. Just locked in.
great. More abuse coming your way. But nah, it was pretty chill. Like again, I think in general, it was like just the recipe of the perfect person. And because again, like Queasy's reaction to everything you've said has mostly just been like, yeah, it's like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine. You've had a great weekend, Harry. You've had a great weekend.
It's been fun. It's been fun. So...
if I was you, I would have like kept running with the gimmick and just said like, okay, but Grands ain't happened yet. Like, let's wait till Grand. Let's not talk too soon. Let's wait till Grand. That's what I would have done if I was you. I would have kept running with the gimmick.
I got it next time.
Yeah. But other than that, you're good, right? You know?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, okay, good. I am very ill. I've been ill all weekend, which is why I'm probably gonna mute a lot and cough off camera. But I've still managed to fight my way through the FNCS broadcast. You know, as at many points I thought I'd just step it back and take the weekend off. Struggling.
Speaking of, I don't know if you can comment on the little clip that happened this weekend, but the Frankie Ward clip. Any comments on what she said?
That shit was fucking hilarious, bro. So for context, the day before, during one of the in between segments, she was like trying to like cook up some sort of take, right? So then before she was like loading it up, I was like, all right, let's let Frankie cook, let's see what you cook up. Then she said whatever it was she had to say, and it was a horrible take. And so I was like, never cook again, Frankie. Like you're banned from the kitchen. Like just you never cook again. So then after that, the next day we were talking about it, like off camera before the show started. We were talking about that whole segment. And we were talking about how like dicey that could have been if I had messed up my words a bit. You know, like, if I said that a bit differently, it could have sounded really bad. And so Frankie being Frankie just thought, yeah, I'm gonna make like a callback to it on the live show. And so randomly she's just like, she's just like, yeah, I'll just go back to the kitchen then. Like, I was like, whoa, hold on.
I did not say that.
Yeah. I think people found it funny though. You know, it was cool. It was like we finally got people talking about the bloody broadcast for once.
Yeah.
Been a while.
I think she's one of the probably like the best latest additions to broadcast. I think she makes it very enjoyable every time she hosts for sure.
Yeah, she's like what's great about Frankie that I always sort of say is that like she is like esports royalty, you know, like for people that don't know, like Frankie's like a legendary esports host. She was like very big in CS and like just done a bunch of stuff with a bunch of other games. So it's almost like she has the leeway to like say the crazy stuff, you know? So like, I just roll with it. Like Frankie wants to say something crazy, I'm like, I'm right behind you. I'm behind you, but I'm right behind you. Like you say it first and then, I'll follow up after. So no, that was pretty funny. I was very conscious though of like, because I was super ill, so I was almost didn't do the broadcast the next day, and I just knew for a fact if I hadn't, people would have been like, "Yo, did Levin get fired because of that Frankie clip?" Like, what? That was almost bad. So yeah, that didn't happen. I did do the show.
You fully shouldn't have done the show.
That would have been run with the bit. Run with the bit,
man.
I also need to pay bills, guys. I also need to pay my bills, so I couldn't do that. But yeah, no, it was a good weekend, fun weekend. I think there's lots of people have to say about semi-finals, but ultimately it was nice to finally have some like set lobbies. It was nice to have some decent level competition, I'd say. I felt at times there was still like, it did feel a bit, but we'll get to that. I think we should start off by talking about some of the notable teams that have now just crashed out of FNCS completely, right? We've now had a lot of those guys after failing to qualify through who just, on to the next season. No grand finals for you. I think I'll start off with the biggest one that people have been highlighting, Monground Savage. Obviously, the dream is dead. The scripts did not come through. Those guys did not get out of lowers at all. We didn't even see them in uppers. And it was a sad day for the Mongol fans, eh?
It was. I mean, I think this is part of the storyline. They had the highs of last season making grands, don't make it out of lowers, into LAN next season. It's just, this is actually part of the script perfectly. But talking like analytically, like it was a weird situation because I felt like their landing spot and the way they were playing at the start of the season was way better than last season. It's like they carried on for last season and were playing even better than before. They were able to get forecasts a lot of the time, and they were doing decent off spawn. They became one of the better teams at their landing spot. Obviously, loads of teams started to go there, and I felt like it was a for sure guarantee to qual Grands this season. But whatever happened, and if you watch their games, it's just so many random things that happen, like randomly dying before endgame and having to solo clutch, or dying off spawn a bunch, or their endgame's not being clean. It just felt like there were so many different mistakes that happened throughout the weekend that it's hard to pin it down to one thing, apart from they just didn't play well enough. They just didn't have that one day where it all came together. They got the off spawn, they got the forecast, and they could play through it. It just felt like every single game, something random was going wrong.
It's been something that's been consistent across, I think, the start of the season. Is like, when they had a goal in mind, right? When they first came into it, okay, we're gonna, I'd say like the first short-term goal before they qualified grounds, okay, we're gonna make heats, okay? Mongo's come back after 2-3 years, he's gonna make heats, amazing. Okay, we made heat, sick. And now everything other than that is extra. Oh shit, all of a sudden we qualified grands, what a crazy time. And then now, once you've already achieved that goal for them, I think it's harder for them to sort of focus up a little bit more and have that end place where they want to be. You know, the motivation for me, from them at least, seemed a lot more lacking compared to before. We saw them, at least from my side, we saw them practice a lot earlier the first time they ended up playing, because, you know, they had that big goal in mind. But this season, you know, I think they went on holiday at the start of the season, and then the week before FNtasia started, now it's okay, now we need to start grinding. And then they played every single day of scrims the day before FNTS. And then the same thing, you know, we had 3 weeks of breaks before semifinals. They took 2 weeks off pretty much. And then the week before FNTS semifinals, they again resumed their grind again for the last 5 days to try to focus up. So I think it's a lack of motivation this season, not as much a lack of skill, because they have been better. Yeah.
I think what's interesting is also, like, a lot of the top teams do exactly what you're talking about, where they take a period off. They practice more and more as the lead up to FNCS comes, and in particular in the lead up in that final week before Grands, like, you know, over a course of this week, you'll see some of the top teams practice more than ever. But with a team like Mongrel and Savage, they need more practice than that amount of allotted time, in particular the weeks between like semis and things like that. So I feel like, quite frankly, you know, they just have to put in more time in the next season. And of course, there's not that much time coming, as you tweeted the other day, what, like 32 days, 30 days, something like that, until the next FNCS starts. So hopefully they take a bit of time at the start of the season, as most people should, to rest up, get your mental back in check, and then get straight back into actually practicing for the course of the entire season. And, you know, it would be awesome to see them qualify to globals. But I mean, you know, based on this season, I said it, basically, I think one of our first podcasts when we were doing the good, bad, the ugly, is that their drop spot is just ugly.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'm not a fan of it whatsoever.
Well, the meta changed with the landing spot, right? It started off as just, you know, they played the landing spot as on every other region, and then you go down to the dock, you get a little bit extra loot, and then you go play from there. But the way the metas evolved from the landing spot is you now go for forecast. So not only are you having to make it off spawn consistently enough, you're now also in that area, you are the team who can get that forecast, the 80% spawn rate forecast, the most out of any other team. So you're now running into a situation where not only are you having to fight off spawn, not only is it now more contested because everyone knows you've shown the blueprint. They showed the blueprint throughout the whole of the weeks. That was, in my opinion, that's their biggest problem. I think they were the first team who started to play for forecast the most, who started doing that path they do every single game, using the drones and then just getting the extra mats on the way up, and then being the first team up to the hill. They showed that throughout the weeks. And then all you have is every other team going, oh, we can get forecast for free landing this spot. We can play for it. And I think it just, as you said, it became way more contested. They have to fight forecast. And I can remember back to obviously console and things like that, and eval cups where they weren't setting up forecast correctly. They were dying on forecast quite often. And I don't know, maybe that might have been a problem for them, because I don't think as many teams were actually that forecast was more like slappy and pleasant, and then the split to the left were kind of fighting for it.
A lot of teams want it, yeah.
Yeah, and then it just kind of became the Mongrel spot. Everyone started going for it. Tinu Chat, Pablo, they all started going for the forecast, so everyone knew, oh, we can play for it, and it became more contested.
The thing is, go ahead.
I was also just about to say, and realistically, out of the majority of the pro teams you have there, Savage and Mongrel are not going to be the best fighters. So when you're giving them a 50-50 drop spot, that's like the easiest fight they'll get. Then you go for a forecast fight on top of that. That's when those fights get sticky, they get ugly, and you get scuffed. And then even if they win that with forecast and have to get back into the game after that, it's like, okay, a lot of teams can rely on the ability to get a refresh at some point. And I'm not saying they're incapable of fighting mid game by any means, but in terms of like a grand finals lobby, they are far from the strongest team there. So they're almost setting themselves up on a game plan that's not fit for their current level, in my opinion, you know.
Yeah, it's like I said, like you said, it's the spot now has evolved. It has a lack of diversity, right? You used to be able to run north, you used to be able to run south. Now north is claimed by teams because FNtasia has ruined the spot now. So he's basically the reason why they didn't qualify. And to the south, you know, the Ninja Turtles are gone, so you don't have the loot underneath the tunnel anymore. And like we said, they're not great fighters, right? We can look at the comparison between them and Chapantini, for example, in that spot, who are getting 700 points in semifinals all of a sudden, you know, which is absolutely ridiculous. But they're a team that are able to get refreshes when they want to. Mongo and Savage are a lot more passive, and when things, you know, punch them in the face, then they end up playing more passive, running into Storm, and then that basically just ruins their entire game.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I think the big problem with those two right now is that I just don't know where this goes outside of, like, of course, yeah, there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, well, they enjoy playing with each other, and Savage made sure to emphasize that, right? Which is great, because if they enjoy playing together, yeah, play together. That's perfectly fine. Who why the fuck does anyone else matter in that case? Cool. Yeah. But if we're looking at it from like a competitive standpoint, I don't know how this situation gets much better. Just from the same problems that we've highlighted before, in that, cool, if they decide to move, wherever they go, they're going to be cont. Unless they decide to land at like some like crap spot, like, I don't know what, like the crappiest spot, like they're just going to be cont wherever they go. And again, whenever they're contested, they're always going to have these problems. I didn't watch much of lowers just because, you know, we're watching the broadcast, you're only watching uppers. But the couple games I did watch of lowers through Chapantini's POV, just because of how they dominated, it was like they'd land contested and they'd be there. And again, they're just better off spawn than these guys, right? It's like Savage historically has just never been that great off spawn. You know, he will admit to that, right? It's why he's always been contested, because people know we can contest him and find success. Mongo, again, it's like, with Mongo, you're talking about a player that, again, is just coming back from a long break, who's behind, he's just behind, right? And I think one of the worst things for Mongo that's difficult for him in terms of like evolving as a player is that he had so much success being who he was that, like, it's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. It's hard. Do you know what I mean? Like the reality is, I think you'd almost be better off if like you took a player who didn't do much like back in the day and then brought them back when Mongo came back, and then tried to, because there'd be so much more to learn, so much more to do. Whereas Mongo, it's like, you know, when you see, especially with like fighting fundamentals, is where I notice it the most, where like back in the day, Mongo could just jump on people's walls and just fuck them up. Like, he ain't got to worry about making space, doesn't have to worry about taking the most optimal angles all the time, right? And so you see that now where it's like, that's hard training to him. Like, you know, they go into some of these fights for bunkers and forecasts, and that is just the default for it. And it's hard to rejig that, retrain that. And again, the question becomes, can you rejig that and retrain that? Yes, you can. Can you do that before, in time for major free and grand finals? And probably not, right? So I worry that we're just going to be here we're going to be in the same sort of situation this time next season, or we're having a similar conversation. And even if they're able to make it to grands, which I think, as much as they didn't make it this season, I would say like I am more confident now that they are just a team that can make it to grands, more so than I did at the start of the season, right? Like after last season, I was worried it was a bit of a fluke and, you know, whatever, like forget it. This season, again, like Harry was saying, like they impressed me a lot early on the season. Like I thought, okay, actually maybe these guys could make it to grands. But even
how long though? Like how long are they gonna wait for it to like how long would you give Mongo the time to practice, become play Fortnite professionally full time before you're like, okay, he just doesn't have it anymore?
I think to me it's when Savage decides. And if Savage is enjoying it and Savage wants Mongo to play, they will just continue playing. You see how many viewers Savage is getting, you see how much money he's probably making from it. It's like, why wouldn't he? yes, he could play with someone else, but there is the risk that he could go play with someone else, and Savage could probably get majority, 99.999% of players he could go and find and play with, because it's Savage at the end of the day, right? He's still, if he's got a good duo, he can top 10 of Grants easily. Like, he is still that type of player. But if it's Savage and he's enjoying the game, he's bringing in the viewers, and he wants to play with Mongrel, why would he risk playing with someone else to still not make Grant? He'd rather play with Mongrel, enjoy it more, have the viewership, and then have still the chance to make Grands. And they probably think after this, they could still make Grands, right? I just quickly looked at both their lower brackets. In both rounds, 6 out of the 10 games were affected by off spawn, either dead off spawn, dead at forecast, or like 15 minutes into the game. That's 4 end games in each one. It's like they basically didn't even play this weekend. If you're not even getting half of your games to end game, then a change of landing spot, or just a change of how they're playing, maybe not going for forecast as much, playing the landing spot and then going elsewhere, could help them a bunch. As you said, landing somewhere safer, or landing a POI where they just win the off spawn, they get the loot and they play the game instead of, fighting bunker, fighting forecast, having to recover the game so much. I still think they have huge potential. I watched them play, and a lot of their high games are really good. Mongrel is getting better as an IGL and as actually learning the game. I think the biggest issue with Mongrel, as you said, is his fighting. Another thing I was looking at was his soda cash cups, right? It's not the biggest thing, but I remember whenever I watch him, I feel like he just struggles so much fighting the average EU player now. It's like he's getting, and I know it doesn't matter, like 7,000, 6,000 in a soda cash cup, and not getting the first game, second game, or even third game being the high kill win. It's like an hour into the tournament. So, as you said, I think the biggest thing is if Mongrel individually can improve, I think the way they're playing, if they get a better landing spot, is more than good enough to make grand finals.
Also, I saw there was one game in lore I watched from them where they're third partying a fight and Savage jumps in and dies, and Mongrel's distance himself. So he goes in to fight the 1v1. And you said, it's not that important how he's doing in solo cash cups, but this ended up essentially being a solo cash cup fight. And it was it was rough, it was very, very rough. He had tons of space. He ended up some of the edits looked like mine, and that's not a compliment to myself.
That was the peanut butter peak, wasn't it? I think you were watching it on my stream. It was Visa would have been pissed when he saw this peak. I know, so bad.
Yeah, and some of it's good, but it's just it looks a little clunky, it looks a little lost still. So definitely agree. If he ends up increasing that individually, then their duo chemistry fighting as a skill just starts to skyrocket. But then you put up a good question of how long does it last? And the thing is, my concern is more how long does the grind last? Obviously, we saw this season, as soon as FNCS isn't close, it's kind of over. So you've got 30 days until next FNCS, and then Global Championships will be the season after. Don't know what, obviously, tournaments will have online. And I'm guessing we're going to have the OG season. Maybe there's some sort of FNCS in there. We don't know. But, there's so many gaps in between that. There are times for improvement for most players. But if we can already see that their motivation dips in those times, how much do they improve as the year goes on total? Because there's a lot of opportunities, but that's kind of where my main concern lies.
Yeah,
big flies back.
Yeah, it's they act as a team in terms of the progression of how much you grind and effort you put in. They act like a team that's already at the top.
Yeah.
Which they need to be working harder to catch up. Which is, it doesn't bode well for them. I'm sure we could talk a lot more about Mongrel and Savage, but there were also a bunch of other teams that did miss out that, some of them more interesting than others. I know, Group, you had the sort of list you put out. Looking at the list, I wish I could bring it up for you guys, but I can't. But looking at the list, there's a couple names there, and likes of Nebs and iDrop. No, and Chino didn't make it. Who else is here?
I think a big one is probably Turdo and Ziandi when it comes to the dynamics of what's going to happen in grand finals, because that is probably one of the few teams that would have looked like they were able to stick it to Malabuk and Mustache in EU this season, and by some miracle all of the other teams over Grim Gates have now left, or they haven't been able to qualify, including Cheatin and Kaiduo, who are also the other main contender. But Ziandi and Turtle, they looked like they were able to do it to Malabuk and Mustache in the seasons when Malabuk and Mustache also didn't look that great. But then Malabuk and Mustache came back and just showed off this insane game in upper bracket where they just dropped a high kill elimination, playing with confidence. And all of a sudden, with Turtle and Ziandi not making it through at the disdain of all the Romanians, I think we have free reign in Grim Gates now.
Yeah, it's It's interesting because I'm sure we'll talk more about Grimgate as we get to grand finals predictions, but I was surprised with Turtle and Ziandi not making it. I thought they would. They've looked good this season in situations where they've like gotten out of there alive. Kiriachi and Default didn't make it. I didn't think they would, but again, just more of a notable name. Who else to say that's interesting? Pablo Bevies, yeah, that's the big one, right? Pablo Bevies are typically a team you expect to see in grands, and even a team, I know Reese, of you say in some grands you expect them to get a top 10, right? So for them to not make it was a rough one.
I was trying to look through, I can't remember what their actual like previous placements were and what it was last season off the top of my head, but like they're a team for the last year and a half, 2 years maybe, where I've said they've been a top 10 potential. You know, some seasons they've been stinky, no doubt whatsoever, but they're a team that's absolutely capable of. So to see them not even make grands is extremely disappointing.
Yeah, I think they're also part of the Savage and Mongrel landing spot situation. It's the exact same thing. They land the exact same spot, and if I remember correctly, they were struggling in lower bracket. Like they had like 50 points in like 6 games. Like they were not doing well. And I mean, if it's another landing spot problem, I mean it's an interesting situation where multiple teams are having their FNtasia. Yeah, they got 100 points in 10 games. For Pablo and Bevies, that's
horrible.
That's not anything.
I mean, that sounds like a Pablo Wingu Bevies issue though. Like like that's one of those teams like they're so good, but they're also so shit at the same time. Like, frankly, right? Like they're so good, but they're also so like absolute dog shit. Because every season it's up and down, up and down. I remember, seasons ago they used to run double flapjack in the Surge lobby, and they ended up killing by Surge. Such a specific situation, I know, but like that's the embodiment of Pablo Wingu and Bevies is that they have the potential, they have the tools, but they don't really make it work, and it's usually internal issues that also makes them struggle. Those guys love and hate each other every single week. They end up playing tournaments muted with each other. A lot of other things going on there as well. Like, I'm not shocked to see it happen. Right? It's just that is just wasted potential and just a lack of actual caring. I think is the main reason why.
Yeah, I would say then in terms of when you're looking at a lot of these teams that missed. A lot of the time now, the question for a lot of those teams becomes, do we stick together? Are there any here that you've seen that you're like, I would, even though they didn't call, I would still like to see them run it back next season?
Nebs and iDrop.
Nebs and iDrop?
Yeah. They are, like, I think these two are like an incredible duo. I do think they are. I think whenever you see them in a finals lobby, they perform. They always do well. And to me, they're like you said with Bevies and Pablo, I always see them as a top 15 teams in a grand finals lobby. You just look in the grand finals like, oh, iDrop's there. It's what you expect. And for them to not even make it to upper, to be stuck in lower, it's a huge surprise. And maybe it's the meta. And maybe it sounds like what iDrop said on Twitter is like, again, it comes down to the meta where it's, they're struggling with the 50-50 zones and no mobility metas. If you don't pull zone, what happens? Getting pumped in the back and everything like that. But yeah, I'd like to see them stick together. They're a team who I'd expect to make LAN. Well, obviously, iDrop made LAN with Mappy last year. So I'd expect him to be able to make it again. And with the caliber with Nebs, who I don't think has fallen off at all. He's still the player, maybe not as insane fighting as he was back in the day, but he's still an insanely good player. They should just stick together. I see no benefit from them splitting at all.
Yeah, I'd say I'd like to see Ziandi and Turtle stick together. I don't know. It's always hard, right? But in terms of you don't know the internals of like bad comms, blah, blah, blah. Like maybe they just hate each other now that they've not called, maybe there's resentment there. But they were a team I thought was interesting. Again, like Ziandi's not had the chance to play with a good Romanian player in a while, it feels like. It seems like they have a lot of fans and people behind them and backing them. And in the server, they looked good. I think if it wasn't for like some of the shambleness of Grimgate, they probably are a team we just see in grand finals this season, and we're talking about what they could potentially do. I saw Refzard and Hellfire sticking together. Again, I've not watched much of those guys this season, so it's interesting. I feel like a lot of teams have said that they probably will stick together. Noah and Chino, an interesting one. When they got together, I thought it was like the perfect match. Just because obviously Chino had qualified last season playing with Chapix, right? Yeah. But they landed at like a terrible spot, didn't go too well, but it was like, Chino sort of started to go on a lot of people's radars. And then Noah has clearly been, as much as, things haven't been as amazing for him. Obviously, he made it with Aqua last season to Grand. he's been really motivated. Like Noah was always one of the players this season in terms of like bigger names who's just been grinding. Like you see him playing a lot of Noble sessions. You see him actually like wanting to do good. So I thought those two, you know, they were a team that I was rooting for to make it to Grands because I thought it would be fun to see them. So hopefully we don't see a lot of these guys spiral and panic now, you know, that we're going into Major 3. Because to be fair, I think it's harder now just because I think last year where you had last chance qualifier, there was more incentive to stay together because it felt easier to qualify for LAN. Whereas now, a lot of people going into Major 3 are going to be like, you're looking at your duo and you're going, can we get top 10 in FNCS? That's a hard
sounds easy, right?
Yeah.
But that's a hard question to ask when you're looking at your duo sometimes. You know, it's like
the issue also is that after this major, 7 good teams in EU are through to the LAN, right? And those are more options that you're losing out on. So once you're at a certain threshold, aka tier 2 level, your options are dwindling. After this season, you know, we're gonna probably realistically we're gonna lose Tayson and Veno potentially. We're gonna lose Trulix and Chicha. All those top tier teams are gone, and then you don't have many options to look at. But one of the things, I guess, one of the thing that I want to flip the script on is which teams we think should 100% split, because there's one team in particular we haven't mentioned yet, and I think that it, you know, just let it go. It's Moneymaker and FNasia.
I knew you were gonna say them.
Just let it go. And I talked about this a little bit last week. And Moneymaker is great. He's very funny. I love him. I like him. But at the same time, they have been boosted a little bit too much by the Global Championships qualification through the last chance qualifiers, and that have boosted them on this pedestal that made them look a lot better than they have. But in the last, 2 seasons, they've been looking like absolute ass other than one Eval Cup.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think, as you said, I think people's expectations for what Moneymaker and FNasia are completely different to what they were a year ago. Even though they haven't really changed much as players, they're kind of just the same players and the same skill level. They haven't got that much better. Another team that I think should probably split is Steno and Lucia on the same form, the same sort of thing where Lucia at the start of this chapter changed to keyboard, and I don't know if that's an impact at all, but their placements this chapter have not been good. They have been, again, when it comes to landing spots, they've been all over the place. They've landed like 4 different landing spots this season. They just don't look clean. If you think of Steno and Lucia, they're a consistent team who consistently will, in chapter 4, I think they made every grand finals in chapter 4. They were consistently in and around. They obviously quad to Globe, they quad to Copenhagen, which boosted it a lot. But for them to not even make 1 grand finals, and I don't even think they've made a cash cup this chapter, you're asking questions of what are we doing here? Like we are both good enough to be making grand finals, and it's clearly not working. Whether it's the dynamics not working, or whether it's they're just playing way worse when it comes to fighting or whatever it is. It's just clearly something's wrong, and I feel like they just have to change.
What about Diox and Cade? Missed out as well.
Ooh.
Which is as I say that pops into the chat at the exact time.
I think favorite team.
Yeah, I think Archie's getting a nice lump of money.
I saw Archie trying to snipe up Diox, which I actually think would be good.
Yeah. The price he's off is quite funny. It's quite funny.
It takes a special type of man to make you into an e-commerce trader in order to try to buy you, Archie's doing drop shipping now. He's doing like the courses potentially in the future. This is a very special man to Archie. He wants to buy this man for the future.
Yeah.
Thing is though, that's what he should do. That's such a good content duo. Not that they'll do good.
It's an unreal content duo. Diox and Archie sounds so
playing
fun
like
to
watch. Apple season. I'm watching that. Hell
yeah. I think when it comes to Darks and Cade,
when
it comes to Darks and Cade, it fully depends on the meta. If we get the season 1 meta, where you have to fight for Surge, where you have to be aggressive, they should stick. Because I think they could qualify globals with that.
Isn't this the perfect meta for them though, with the chains and stuff?
It
feels like it though.
But you have to realize they're not disciplined in the mid game. They're just gonna, before they even get to change someone, they're gonna be DMR'd to death. They are just going to be waterbending. Like, it's just
actually just like a worse Mitro, kind of like, this guy's dog shit, man. This guy's dog shit. WK him, bro.
Yeah, I just think if they have no DMR and it's like a mobility meta as well, which helps them because again, when you think of Darks and Cage, you're not thinking clean and methodical end games, you know, the perfect dead side rotates. You think they're just getting low ground and they're dropping 30 kills, or they're just dying 20th. There's just no in between here. And I think if we get into a meta like this where it's no mobility and it's DMRs and we're sitting in 600 surge bases mid map, there's no way they should stick. They need to, both of them need an IGL to make them disciplined. But if we're in a season 1 meta, as I said last week, I think there was a world where, you know, they could have top 5 last rounds. I think there's a world they were doing well, and fencing became a bit of a mess for them. But there was definitely a chance they could have top 5. It was a perfect meta for them.
Speaking of the chains, did you guys enjoy watching the progression of chains this weekend? Because it felt like the first day, it's like, okay, oh my god, there's a guy with chains. Oh my god, this guy just got shit on. It was one team, you know? And you could see like this progression as the games went on all the way until day 3, where every fucking team had chains and are just jumping into box, ruining the games. And the broadcast made a great note of showing every single kill to the point where I was exhausted from seeing it because there was so many times that it's happened.
And replayed
it's not even
it.
funny anymore. Yeah, they replayed
They
it.
showed it and then they replayed it.
Well, this come back to what you said, Levin. Pros aren't smart. The chains haven't changed for a month. They haven't changed for a month. It's just people are finally realize, oh, wait, it's really hard to do anything about when there's 80 alive. Like, what do? We can't just rebox 50 times.
Yeah.
It's just pros. It's back to that point where pros don't think they're just we're here with a weapon in the game which can literally define the meta, and everyone's like, nah, you know, we're all right, we're all right.
Yeah, nah, that's cool. Every time we saw the chains, I think me and Mini Miner were just like, yeah, man, balanced, that's fair, man, yeah. What can you do? Like, what can you do? Like, there's so many of those clips that you're watching, and you're like, what do you do? Like, what do you even do when someone's just running at you with chains like that? Yeah, man, I'm sure we'll see more of them. Before we move on, I did say
I was ahead of the game. I just want that to be.
Okay, yeah.
So
the almighty big dog was
the people got to start watching the resub shorts and TikToks if they want to catch up.
Were you before 72 hours on that?
I may have been. I think it was the same weekend.
Yeah, we found the same game.
We're gonna fact check
that. I saw one because I saw a tweet about it from NA and Harry. Actually, I'll be able to check with that. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna check. But Harry messaged me and he was like, "Oh, I have a clip of this dumb shit happening," and I was like, "I found that exact same game."
Yeah, it was literally some random. Awful. It was some random tick. So the first team I saw do it was like Duocash, like third Duocash of NA before FNCS. Some random TikTok creator on NA just carried double chains, and he dropped like 14 kills. And I was like, jeez. Wait a second, put this in the hands of someone who's actually not horrible and it's pretty uncounterable. And yeah, that's why I said it to you, Reese. I was like, yeah, watch this game. I think maybe it was like a week after. I was like, because you made the water bending, I was like, you've got to make this one as well. I've had this locked in. It was like, oh, you already know about it. So.
Yeah. I have. The reason I titled it was the worst Fortnite strategy I've ever seen and why it's genius. Just I've used it twice now, but it's so stupid. But it just like if you see 2 people in the box, it's just wraps them. Like
Like NA showing why they're the best again, by the way. Just
I mean, yeah. Shout out to NA. Before we moved on, the one team as well I did want to say I wanted to see probably split would be Hen and Vasquez. They're like one of those teams that they formed just before last chance. They end up making it to globals, so it's like you almost like live off of that hype. And obviously in Grands last season, I don't think they did particularly amazing. You don't call this Grands, you're probably not getting top 15 next Grands. I say you just let it go.
But they split. They always split. They split after last Grands, and then Vasquez can't get a duo, Hen can't get a duo, and it's like, we might as well.
It's a cycle of shit, right? Like you have bad placements, and then you get back together with a guy that you had good placement with, but then you have another bad placement, and you can't find another duo. They're like the divorced couple that hate each other, but always just come back, loving each other again after a few months. So then they do well in one cash cup, but yeah, they got to split it.
Yeah. Even then, like when they're at globals, I was speaking to Vasquez before it started, and he was just like, "I don't like playing with Hen, man." I can't remember the words he used, but like that was the summary of it, basically. It's like you guys, you've not even played the first day yet, Well,
did you have to stand on a chair to talk to him?
No. We were standing tall.
at eye level.
He's not that- how tall is he?
were
I
standing.
thought he was pretty tall. He looked pretty tall.
That's like
He's a big guy, but
he's like 6'6".
Yeah.
No?
Reese is 6'8". That's why he's the big dog.
yeah, I was gonna say, I was just
Yeah.
like, we're eye to eye.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember like when they got together. I remember messaging Hen of like, so how's this happened then? And he by his own admission, he was like, I never thought I'd be playing. so I think on both sides, there's been a lot of like eyebrow raising at each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just gotta let it go, bro. Let it go.
Yeah, at the start of the season, Hen was playing with Paco. And then obviously this is where it started, the whole Paco mix and going to NA is,
Yeah.
I can't remember which way it went, if Hen went back with Vasquez or Paco ended up splitting or whatever, but it's not like he's not trying to find other teammates, but I wonder if this is like well, we've already been on the decline of Hen, but if this is the sad and slow decline of Hen, where now he's not going to play with Vasquez, he probably won't find someone else again. Maybe you'll find another pro who didn't do well last, maybe someone like Yapko or someone along
Squad,
those,
maybe.
Ref's guard, something along those lines, right? And
Yeah.
you know, they don't make grands, and then you have 6 months till next FNCS. It's like, is Han going to just continue playing after that? I don't know.
Yes, it's a tough. I always find like with players like that, I want to just see them playing with like the new cracked kid from their region. That's like why.
But
that
their egos
combo
won't let them.
works.
Their egos
Yeah.
won't let them to go play with someone with 1K earnings or 2K earnings or just made their first grands. They're not going to go, oh, I'll go play with you, because it's a gamble for them. It's like they could literally just not even make lowers because the player isn't that good.
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of these guys just end up sticking with each other. They don't want to branch out.
Yeah.
Just find a 13-year-old. That's it.
No, honestly, if
See what the guy in
nothing-
Asia did.
Yeah, the 30-year-old, yeah.
Shout out to there was one guy in the comments of one of the podcasts who complained about us not talking about any other region than EU and NA. Here you go. We're gonna give you 30 seconds of talking about Asia. A fucking 30-year-old called for grand spending with 13-year-old. Crazy, right, guys? Yeah.
Next
Giving us
season it's
hope.
me. Next season
Giving us
it's me.
hope, man. The 30-year-olds can do it. I see.
Two
I'm
children
like-
and a wife, by the way.
yeah. I made I commented on that. I retweeted as a tweet, and DJ, and I was like, it's doable. And he was, a DJ was like, mate, you're playing with a 24-year-old. He's playing with a 14-year-old. I was like, yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I've not done it yet, but I'm gonna do a TikTok on him. I want to see what his gameplay is like at 30.
Oh,
Like,
I've watched one of his highlights. It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Oh no.
Yeah,
It's
respect the
like
goat, man.
if they rename it to a boot highlights, like I wouldn't be surprised.
Excuse me?
Crazy.
I've been on my grind, man. I think I need to have a wife and 2 kids, and then I'll unlock my true potential. That might be it.
Wait, how old are you now?
22.
That's
not 22.
yeah.
This guy is not 22.
I got 3 more years until I can catch up with him. How about
Okay,
that?
so you got that's like a year to meet your wife, and then a year each kid before you're 30.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Then-
It's
in
like-
your prime.
Twins. Hey, you're forgetting twins.
Twins. Okay, I mean
Yeah.
you're rolling the dice there, but
Yeah.
I'm
It's funny
rolling the
because-
dice and the wife as well there.
There's a lot of things to find in 3 years.
lot of
Um,
luck.
I found it funny because somebody like had said, I wonder what they like, what are the comms like in between games? Like, what do they talk about? You know, because when you're in game, you know, you focus on the game, whatever. But like in between games, when they're
He's
sitting
just
there, like, what are they
blasting
chatting
TikTok
about?
through his fucking kid. It's blasting TikTok.
I think Miniman said to me, he was like, yeah, like the 13-year-old's probably like, yeah, you seen the new Roblox update? And he's like, yeah, my kid's been playing it. Yeah, man, yeah, I saw my kid playing it. It was cool. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
think we should shout him out real quick. It's 7_CHX on Twitter, Mr. Bikin, the goat.
Yes. Shout
Legend.
out to Biken. That is your NA or your Asian segment of the week. There you go.
Yeah.
You're not getting another one for another unless
I
they
mean,
win
you're getting
FNCS.
5 minutes for me. So.
Yeah.
Unless they win FNCS, we will probably not be talking about Asia again for a while, eh? Or unless Zagri does something crazy, which he did.
Also,
do some
He
crazy stuff,
he
but-
does stuff crazy every
He
week.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Actually, just while we're still speaking about him, I went on his page. You know, he's vaulted 9 grands.
Yeah, he's a 9
Yeah,
grand
It's not like this is just like a
Holy
random.
shit.
He's 30. It's like he's been doing it while he was like 28, 29,
yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
now
You're
he's
saying
30.
there's not a chance.
Now he's 30. Yeah. So yeah, there's not
maybe,
a chance. No.
Maybe started when he was 27. You know, maybe that's the
Yeah.
prime age. We haven't tested this yet.
You just got to make 9 grand finals by the time you're 30.
I'll ask Bloom if he knows any 13-year-olds.
I know.
I'm
I
sure
know
he
what
does.
you mean. Yeah, I know
I have
what
a
you
few
mean,
speed now.
but it just doesn't sound right. That's the problem. Shout out to Bloomy, man. Friend of the show, Bloomy.
Yeah, I love Bloomy.
We gotta get Bloomy on there one time. Never gotta get Bloomy on there.
True.
This is why we need a LAN in Asia so that we can do a content piece where like Reese and all of us just 1v1 him. We're like, can we beat a 30-year-old pro player in a 1v1?
That'd be great.
You know? It'd be unreal.
Imagine all four of us beat him and be like, man, this region, bro.
I'm moving straight to Japan. I'm getting FNCS straight away. Hey, big ups to everyone watching, by the way. We got a bunch of people watching live. Shout out to everyone. I know we've not brought many of the comments up. I saw someone earlier saying, do these guys read comments? Like, yeah, we're just talking though, you know, vibing. Yeah. But we're gonna talk about grand finals now. It's time. We've spent 50 minutes waffling. Let's get to the good stuff. We're gonna be talking about grand finals a bit differently than how I think anyone's ever really done some grand finals predictions. Shout out to Harry for coming up with the idea. We're gonna do like a bracket. I don't know how many Americans we got watching, but you know, like March Madness brackets where everyone's selecting what teams they think is gonna win, and you know, you have a big, massive bracket. It's all fun. We're gonna do that, but basically just for FNCS. And so the matchups are random. I don't know how Harry put them in the brackets. Yeah, it was a random bracket, and we're just gonna basically look at the two teams that are going up against each other, and essentially is who do we think is gonna place higher. And then we do that progressively until, in theory, we have the person we all think is going to win FNCS because they're placing higher than everyone else, which is first place. So we're going to start off with EU, since it's a very EU-leaning podcast, and then we'll get to NA after.
We'll just skip NA.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys.
No, we got to talk about
OCE one coming after that. Yeah, we have the whole OCE list too. For all those
we have
non-region
way
complainers.
too many American listeners to completely neglect NA. You know, if I looked at the analytics and there was nobody from the United States and Canada watching, we would just skip it. But we do care about our audience.
We care about Paco and Mixon.
Hey, Levin cares about the audience. Us three, though, you know.
I love the audience, man. Come on.
All right, let's get this up. Let me screen share this and not get the wrong thing up. For the audio listeners, we'll do our best to guide you through the matchups on screen. But as you can see here, it doesn't look the prettiest, but you know, looks don't always matter. Is it too small, Reese? I see you squinting.
I'm just blind. I need to open it. I think if you're on mobile, you might struggle to read that. I'm more thinking.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll zoom in based off of the matchup.
Yeah,
I'll zoom in.
Less spoilers as well.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's too much zoom.
There you go.
All right. So I think the plan for this is let's not exhaust ourselves on some of the earlier matchups. Like if there's a matchup that you're like, it's a clear who's going to win that one, let's not waste the analysis now. Let's save it till the matchups are a bit harder. And then if you have anything to say about the team that's clearly going to lose, then yeah, we talk about them. But let's get right into it. First matchup, Pachawa and Vexy versus Malibuka and Mustache. Who do you guys think is going to place higher?
Just put Mustache.
You know,
just put Mustache and Malibu.
It's a no-brainer.
I will say about Pachawa and Vexy, they will be locking in their seasonal 30th to 40th. So they will be locking it in. So, like, good on them. They made their grand finals.
Hold on. Is there another Polish team landing around them? That'll dictate whether or not they're on the lower end or the upper end of that.
No, they are uncontested at the cemetery. So sadly, there's not going to be, let's just say, good surge strategies. They're not going to have the
no good surge. Okay, right.
Yeah. But yeah, Malibuka and
Mustache. Levin, can you mod someone in your chat, by the way? Just
is my chat terrible right now?
Your Twitch chat's something.
I have no mods.
Mod Hall, you can trust her.
Oh, that's Veno's girlfriend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shout out to Holly. Slash mods is
sorry to cut in there, but so yeah.
All right, cool. Next one, Mappy and Kira versus Trippin and Fredoxy. Interesting. This one actually, I want to see what people think about this one. I don't know if this is as clear cut as some people think, but let's see. What's the panel feeling?
So Mappy and Kira were coming in upper bracket as probably one of like the teams I thought was guaranteed to win a game, and then they just never really got there, right? They had some pretty good placements. They were pretty consistent, but they didn't fully get there at the end. Versus Trip and Fedoxy, which one of those teams where you don't really expect too much of them because it seems like Fedoxy's one true goal in life is just to piss everyone off in the grand finals and anyone nearby. So I would personally put Mappy and Kiri here because they feel like they play better Fortnite. But for Doxy, you can't count them out. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if it was a competition of who's trying to drop a 40 bomb in low elo, Tripper and Fedoxy, like I'm putting them in first. But Mappy and Kira were so consistent over semifinals, like they just missed out every single time.
Yeah.
I don't know, obviously it's hard to tell the leaderboard with winners, I can't remember exactly, but they were end up being like, in terms of consistency, like 4th, like 6th, and then they play 7th in uppers like all 3 days. So, you know, I think it'll be a bit of a miss not to put them in. I think obviously Tripper and Fedoxy have been really good this season, and I think this will probably be one of their best grands overall, but a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, I mean, it fully depends on if Grimgate's contested or not. Because from what it sounds like, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, Fedoxy is praying anyone contests Grimgate. He needs it. Because at the moment, they've got Pleasant uncontested, Restored Rails uncontested, Savage Split uncontested by Trapentina landing. It's like, their sort of way you expect Trippin and Fedoxy to play, to sneak, make those type of plays, there's no one. They're all going to be uncontested. They're all going to be able to be prepared or not be that scuffed. It feels like their surge is going to be a huge problem for them. On the map right now, a team that Fedoxy and Trippin, Fedoxy did coach in lower bracket is landing Grimgate right now in Finn and Orva Halo. They are landing Grimgate right now, but if we're guessing that's probably going to be what, an 11-1, 12-0, whatever we expect that to be. I just see Trippin and Fedoxy struggling with surge. And as you say, Kira and Mappy have been really good. And you brushed on it earlier, Boop. Cheaton and Kiddo are not even making grand finals, and Kira and Mappy looking like one of the best teams we have in the region right now. It's funny how it works where they
won the trade.
Yeah, they won the trade that they didn't even want to happen.
Yeah,
Kira got split, got dropped and ended up in a really good duo at a really insane spot. The main problem I have with Kira and Mappy is the Pixie and Wok situation. Where I don't know if people saw in, I think it was game 2 of uppers, Pixie died, so Pixie lands to the split top right of them with the bot, with the Volt. Pixie died to the bot game 2 and got knocked. And then Kira and Mappy, or Mappy, who's friends with Pixie, keyed them and then chased Woks around the map as a solo to get the surge off them. So Pixie is not very happy about it and sounds like he wants to get some level of revenge, probably make some plays towards them. But still, if we're just going off gameplay, it's got to be Kira and Mappy there. Probably the surprise package of this season, to be honest.
100%. I like, obviously, in all of the sort of confusion of why would Kira and Kiddo split? They were so good last season. A lot of people, when that happened, initial reactions was like, yo, I guess Kiddo and Cheaton are going to be better off. You know, especially when you're the dropper, right? When you're the droppy, everyone sort of looks at you and goes, oh, you're going to be, you know, you're going to get what you can get for a duo partner, and whatever happens there, happens there. But yeah, Mappy and Kira have just been bossing it. Off spawn, uncontested at Classy. Again, it's just like a good situation to be in. I think they're probably the safer pick to place higher, but yeah, it just depends on what happens Grimgate, like you say. But yeah, I'm happy putting these guys ahead just for now. Let's go. For Strokey and Robban versus Janice and Flixie, I would have said Janice and Flixie anyway, but I think after their semis performance, I'm even more inspired and confident. They came up out of the lower bracket day 1 into day 2 of upper bracket and looked fantastic. I mean, yeah, they looked really good. Contested by Sky and Scroll again, and they did perfectly fine being contested by those guys. Didn't seem to have many problems with surge like a lot of other teams are struggling with in that area of the map. I think they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder after how last season went. I think these guys just go through.
Yeah, I don't think we need more on that.
No, I agree. I think their best advantage now is obviously being contested. That was last season. Their disadvantage was making sure everyone was so scared to go reckless that they got no surge. But if they're getting contested for 12 games, you could really see Janice and Flixie up at the top and maybe qualifying for LAN.
100%. Sangod and Marius versus Dexy and Eclipse.
I think this is closer than on paper.
Nobody expected them to win, right? Like Dexy and Eclipse. Except for him.
No. Yeah. But no, there was a bunch of people in my chat, a bunch of Danish fans who were like, Dexy and Eclipse are 100% winning a game. And if you do watch their games, they do like to play high. Obviously, they had the game last season in Grands where it was the same screenshot where it's like, game 1, we're going to be on height. And they did that. And then it was the same thing this season where game 3, we're going to win on height. and they did that. And Maris and Sangod, I don't know if they were that convincing this weekend.
They haven't been convincing.
Even while being on con.
I am a bit worried, and also maybe it's actually advantage they're triple contested at the moment by Underworld by 2 teams. One of them you expect them to beat. Turtle and Sheep seems like it could be a bit of a problem, but it's a bit worrying when Sangod and Maris are not looking as hot and teams aren't just willingly letting them fight.
I think they lost their aura, man. It just wraps. Yeah.
No solo cash cups. No more 40 bombs.
He didn't qualify solo cash to the one thing giving him power, right?
Yeah.
But Maris is triple con in Grands by a guy that I can't pronounce his name and another guy, and then Turtle and Sheeps. I believe that team that's calling them as, I think, $100 in earnings.
Yeah, Go About has $100.
Yeah, $100 in earnings, and it's not even build earnings. I think it's 0 build NA earnings, which is even worse. So I mean, fair play to them to making grand finals and contesting possibly, what people consider some of the best fighters in the region. But with Triple Con and Maris and Sango just looking unconvincing, I think this is closer than I think. But Dexy Eclipse, they're on con. So.
Also, when speaking about some of the best fighters in the region, I don't think Turtle and Cheeps are on here because Harry made this. And basically, if you're not on this bracket, it just means Harry thinks you're dog shit.
Is Squeezy on there?
I'm not sure actually.
Oh shit!
No, but you say that.
But Turtle and Cheeps, I didn't realize they are like the goats of fighting. Yeah. Every time we saw them on the broadcast, Cheeps was just shitting on someone every single time without fail. And I've seen Cheeps' streams just because he's one of those guys that streams solo cashies and he'll stream random duo cash cups and stuff that he makes. Mm-hmm. So I've watched him a fair bit, but I never was locked in. But he was bossing it. So yeah, man, there's a lot of decent fighters in that area of the map this grand finals. So Dexy, shout out to Dexy and Eclipse. Top 10 coldest moments of this FNCS. Dexy calling his win. And Eclipse has the brother buff, so he just needs to play well to prove everyone wrong.
Shout out to Twy.
Shout out to Twy. Shout out to Eclipse. They both got to outplace each other. That's the goal of every FNCS. Next, Phantom Splash versus Queasy and Thomas. I want Harry to answer this and Harry alone.
Wow. I know if I'm going based on this weekend and based on finals, I think it's wrong for me not to say Queasy and Thomas. I think Phantom and Splash are good and they have been performing insanely well, but it didn't feel like Queasy being triple conned really phased him. I actually feel like he's kind of molded. Queasy and Thomas are now molded in being contested. I think it's better that they're contested, maybe not in the way they are getting contested, than they're not. They're going to get consistent surge. They're going to be able to play. If you watch their last game of Lowers, was it? Or no, last game of Uppers.
Let's save some of the analysis. You said Queasy and Thomas. Let's save some of the analysis. Okay. Save it because we got harder matchups coming. Trulets and Chicho versus Volco and Vortexes. I think this would have been a no-brainer to say Trulets and Chicho, but after watching them get conned in upper day 3 and how that played out,
they got bitched.
I
mean, I even had the one discussion. I'm actually curious about your guys' interpretation of this discussion. Of hypothetically, if the team that's calling you in upper bracket 3, right, needs 8 points to qualify, and you can guarantee yourself uncontested in lower bracket to get top 15, would you hypothetically, giving them the kills, but would you put up less of a fight so they guarantee make it through, or are you putting up a fight to try to win that game yourself if you have 0 points?
Well, Boop, I wouldn't break the rules. So I'm not a rule breaker. I wouldn't team and give people kills. But in that context, I would let I would let up win.
I'm fucking throwing, mate. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If it was me, I'm dying either way, so I might as well just die quickly, and go again.
Great, he is another one of these insane fighters, and I feel like we are coming into the kind of 3rd generation of Fortnite, where we are getting all of these ridiculous fighters coming through now, who are now starting to make their grand finals, and putting it to the big players Sango and Amaris getting kind of beat by Turtle and Cheeps, and Turtle and Cheeps being a great team to fight. And then same with Chicho and Trulex. And Chicho and Trulex, obviously they had their LAN where they were insanely good contested, but I don't think they've ever been the best off-spawn team. But to get wiped the floor with that quickly, to then also be contested now at a spot, which I don't think is that good of a spot. They're now landing just north of it at the train station. Mm-hmm. I'm worried for them this FNCS. I'm really, really worried for them. And it
And I
could
think-
be a bit of a dud.
I think when you pair that in terms of the context of this matchup of Trulex and Chicho versus Volcom Vortexes, when you pair that with the fact that Marco and Asa are no longer landing Pleasant, right? And so Volcom Vortexes look, at least right now, like they're going to be uncon at Pleasant Piazza. I don't know, man. It's looking scary for that one.
Only thing. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I was about to say the only thing that can stop Volco and Vortexers from winning this is them trying to play height and seeing one of them just fall to their death.
Fall of height, yeah.
That was tragic. Yeah, that was tragic.
I think Chulix and Chicho are in like an impossible situation. You know, the way that they tried to get this spot uncontested as well, you know, it shows that they're so scared of being contested. They fully chased Belusi around the map in the last game of upper bracket to put them down. You know, with those tweets made, they camped a bunker as well. Like they're showing, oh crap, we need an uncontested draw spot. And Gooden and Forzen are, you know, taking that very quickly and, you know, trying to bitch them off the spot. I'm curious to see if they'll end up moving.
I was about to say that. Because there isn't a lot on this map that you could take. But if they were like Trulex and Chicho are just like, we'll take something scuffed, they could try something around like the forecast bottom left, like just get forecast most games, just claim it even with worse loot and play for it. But yeah, I'm extremely worried because there is not a lot of options there. As you said, they're in a lose-lose here. They either dip again and they've lost their complete aura contesting. I think this has actually done more harm than just this FNCS. They are going to get contested a lot of seasons now because, as you said, they chased Belusi and Belusi and Gabbett?
Vortex,
sorry, Belusi and Vortex. But chased them basically round the map, and then also after getting 3-0'd, it's like, well, no one's going to dip for them anymore. They're now going to be contested in every finals they play.
Yeah, serious rep damage. Someone in chat did just say Marco is still landing Pleasant.
On the map.
The map KXR made says not, but I did go and check Marco's Twitter, and after they called last night, he said Piazza in finals, so maybe KXR's wrong on this one.
But Volco and Vortexes were contested by Zangi and Focus.
Cool.
No,
last season,
yeah, but Focus and Zangi in upper bracket, they still won. They dominated. They actually dominated. They won off spawn every game, and also had very consistent games, and also won a game. I have no problems if they're contested. I think they'll be fine.
I don't remember greatly all of the rounds where they've been, because I know for a fact I've watched Marco and Asa contest Volco and Vortexes in some tourneys, and I think it was relatively even, maybe in Marco's favor in most of those games. Again, that would have been like a couple weeks ago now, so who knows what that's at now. But yeah, I still think Volco and Vortexes conned are much better off than Trulex and Chicho conned, so gonna move them forward. Comeback and Blaha versus Vico and Pink.
You can move Vico and Pink, but it's
you're hesitant.
I'm not that hesitant. I just want to see what everyone says. I think I'm moving Vico and Pink pretty okay here.
I'm hesitant soon.
I'm hesitant soon, but I think Comeback and Blatcher could do decent. They're uncontested now, and we know Blatcher and Mixon were an insanely good duo, and they showed what they could do yesterday. They showed what they could do, the capability of winning the round that they were in. It was just, I wonder what's really happened to Blatcher, because he kind of, after Mixon, they kind of went their separate ways, and he had such a bad season last season. It was looking like he wasn't going to make another grand finals again this season, but he turned it on when it matters, and I do think he is coming as a little bit of a dark horse, but in compared to Vico and Pink, it's not a comparison. Vico and Pink are surge problems aside, they are one of the better teams coming into this grand finals.
Yeah, I think it's just with two, even though, you know, we know that looking at the qualifiers isn't necessarily the best way to handle someone's skill. If you just look at FNCS alone, Vico and Pink have been hands down one of the most consistent teams. Now, does that mean they're going to do amazing in grands? Not necessarily, but I just think in this matchup alone, it would be hard to make them lose.
Yeah. I
disagree with that, but later. Yeah.
I have some more analysis on them, but we'll get to that. I'm going to move them forward. Clown and Axels versus Chris and Skivvy. I mean, if you asked us all a week ago, be quick, easy, but they came dead last in Uppers Day 1. 50th place.
8 points, baby.
They are this past even 2 weeks, because the Duracast Cup finals, they came like 38th, dying to Surge uncontested. The landing spot is completely.
Wasn't this your
changed.
favorite team, Harry?
Yes. Yeah.
So
they were.
basically, what we know from this weekend is Harry knows nothing.
Yeah. No, but
Crazy
they
Thomas,
He knows
wrong,
hate
Harrison
watching.
Skivvy. Yeah.
I'm there hate watching. No, I think Harrison Skivvy was so good, and what it seems like is, well, you can again if you read on Twitter, Zohan and Two Trash are taking some of their loot, and then another team will land near them and take some of their loot. So they're not doing the exact same split as Kanada and Cooper are doing, where they get like the 6 chests on the south side, the berry chest. They're trying to take a little bit more north, which then gets taken by a team who might land Slurp Truck outside of Grim Gate, and there's also getting taken by Zohan and Two Trash, which now begs, and now it seems like they're contested by Asa and Marco. I'm extremely worried about them, and as I said, I'm their biggest fan. I love watching them play, and I've had huge confidence going into this.
Yeah.
It got to the point where in lowers they changed spot. They didn't land their spot. They landed Rebels.
Yeah.
Coached by Teeny as well, and then they just went insane.
Yeah, when they changed spot as well for lowers, as in like the finals one as well, they landed the Teeny spot as well. Like they are not liking their spot. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to cook something up.
I'm still gonna put them through.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to put real quick for Harrison Skivvy, I think they are the result of practice not always being perfect in this situation. And what I mean by that is that when it comes to playing scrims, and they are very big scrim grinders, they always play every single scrim. You have your drop on the map that's marked, right? And none of the other teams can steal your loot. You can't really do too much around that area. But when it comes to a realistic situation in game, it's never going to be the same as scrims. And essentially, that's what happened. There was so much bullshit and chaos going on over towards Grim Gate. There's teams stealing the loot to the north. There's teams to the south taking the loot. And it ends up just being grief for them because, teams can do whatever the hell they want in an FNCS. And they don't seem prepared for that sort of momentum and that sort of pressure.
So you're just saying Noble's shit?
No, I'm not saying Noble. No, okay. I wouldn't say that because obviously, okay, we're zooming in on me apparently. No, Noble isn't
Pressure's
shit.
on.
But you need to
on.
realize that Noble is a way to practice certain things that are good and not everything. You need to be smart enough to realize that some things you can't practice perfectly in scrims, but you should play scrims because they're great. And
play all the Noble creative maps as well.
And the Noble creative maps as well, yeah. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, watch shipping.
I don't know why that could have. Sorry, but that could have been like a Donald Trump script. Like the way you enunciated that was just like, don't worry. like if you just AI'd like what you just said into Donald Trump's voice, it would have been perfect.
Okay. I don't think I want to be compared to Donald Trump. Like,
yeah, I don't blame you.
But build a wall between EU and NA.
All right, next matchup then. Helchis and Apple 2K versus Eltenzi and Panzer.
Both did surprisingly well this weekend. Both, but I as I said, like we have no information on how Apple and Helchis would do uncontested.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder because even when they were winning off spawn, their games weren't clean. They weren't going in and then winning the game or getting top 5s or whatever. They were just basically qualifying through. Most of the time, it was just kills alone, right? It's not like they're super consistent. They got what, 20 They got a 22nd with 5 kills, 16 for 5 kills, and 36 for 4 kills. They're gonna fight for Surge, and being uncontested, I don't know if this is where their hype goes. And it's where they had that weekend which was really good, and they are good fighters. But when you have a bunch of teams around you who are uncontested, no plays you can make, nothing you can do for Surge, you're going to have to play discipline. I don't know if they have that in their locker.
Eltenzi and Panzer also look like a team that are willing to go on height. From what I saw limited on them on the broadcast, we were watching it, they were always on height at some point in those semifinals games, and then they sort of disappeared. I didn't see them ever again. But they have passion.
Yeah,
is that spot top right still the worst spot in the game?
Yes,
it's bad, but is it the worst? There's North Islands has some things to say, but I don't know. It seems like they weren't really struggling as much with Surge. Like they weren't that bad, which from that spot is the hardest thing. Obviously,
you would think, you'd think it's
slow to loot, not the best loot, and that you're a mile away from everyone. But if they're not going to struggle as much with Surge and they're going to get a few endgames, and when they make it to endgame, they're decent enough, I see no reason why we're not going to put them above Apple and Helchis.
I see reasons.
Mid
map versus edge map. It's a no-brainer. I feel over 12-game format. mid-map is always going to dominate, you know? Surge and Grand is so much different as well to these games. It's more stats, it's more on the line.
But that's my problem with that.
I also don't have much faith as Pixie and Vox. They haven't looked great this weekend, so they also would try to bully that team a little bit more and be more aggressive on them, especially in day number 2 where it's a 1.5 times X format. I think there's a lot more that can go wrong for them. The only thing that can go wrong for Election Uppo is that Trulix and Chicho are landing on them, and that's not even a bad thing, apparently.
See,
That might help them more than
I don't.
anything else, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that's a problem. I think their problem is they're uncontested. We have no information. They're obviously there's no information. They won't be a problem. But it's their first grand finals in a Surge meta like this, where the Surge thresholds are extremely high. I just think there's more. They might end up like day 2. Like if you're thinking about Apple 2K and Fletchers, maybe day 1 they struggle with Surge, and day 2 they just fight more. Yeah. Once they realize, fuck it, we have to fight.
The spot also plays itself though. Like we have so much material now of what Trulix and Chicho do at that spot for 2 seasons in a row. I mean, they didn't make grands last season, but for 2 seasons we have so much material to VOD review. I think it's very hard to fuck it up unless you miss your shots. And that's 2 CIS players. They're not missing the shots.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like they just have the blueprint. I think so. Okay, if we're doing a vote here, FNtasia and Panzer to go through.
I would vote them.
You'd vote them.
Yeah.
Oh, majority rules. Venno and Tayson versus.
I have no good valid input here.
Trash and Zohan. I'm gonna move Venno and Tayson through. I will just say though, Trash and Zohan, I thought they impressed me. They did much better than I thought. In terms of the context of our bracket, I think they've had an unlucky first matchup. I think there's a couple teams on here that they probably would have beaten and gone through to the next round, but Venno and Tayson, yeah, they just win that one.
Sleeper top 10, Zohan for sure.
100%. Yeah, those guys look really good. Cringe and Noms versus Swizzy and Vanyak. What does the panel think?
Just get Swizzy and Vanyak in.
Swizzy and Vanyak are the better team, but Brawlers Battlegrounds in the finals lobby isn't the nicest in the world if you get bad zones. If you get a bunch of left-sided zones, it is looking like a recipe for disaster. The main advantage they have obviously is Mount Olympus, and we'll get on to it where Reason's landing the tunnel. There's 5 teams within that area who probably are going to split. That's enough surge they can get. But I don't know if it's as clear-cut, but yeah, definitely Cringe and Noms to make grounds again after everything they went through, after splitting, playing with different players, coming back before lower bracket, and then to get uncontested Lavish. I mean, they'll do decent this FNCS. I think. I wonder if they stick after this FNCS, but yeah, I think you're right. It's Swizzy and Vanyak.
The game they won also was top left, right? I think that one game they won was like fully top left. Obviously, it's a one game sample size, right? But I mean, this team is running away from Olympus after looting 1 chest.
Yeah.
Like there's fodder here to be eaten.
There you go.
I don't think that's the right saying, but yeah.
No, I think you put it pretty perfectly. Andalex and Sato versus Giras and Chari.
This one's close.
Yeah.
I don't know who does better between them.
Is it you trust in Giras and midmap just to win a game or win 2 games, or Andalex and Sato, have they shown enough? Last FNCS in the most scuffed spot ever, literally just landing on 6 chests and getting a top 10 from it, now being uncontested with more loot. Do they have enough in their locker to do well? This one's hard. This one's probably the closest we've had.
It's tough because my mind straight away goes to the typical Giras Grand Finals performance where they probably will be anonymous for most games, but then just win 1 or 2 games randomly, Like it's like 13. The typical, you know what I mean? Like there's like you won't see much of them, but then there will just be a game they win. I don't know. I feel like Andalex and Sato didn't show me, like, I was excited about this duo, but I feel like they didn't show me enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought this would have been a great opportunity for them to, like, just roll through pretty, like, seamlessly.
They didn't do too bad. They came 13th in the one with the winner, so 8th in place in consistency, and then they came 8th in the next round. They both had very similar games. It was Andalex and Sato had 2 20ths and then a second, and as you said, Giras and Chari, they literally had a 40th, a 20th, and then a second. That's literally just the Giras recipe.
It's a Giras classic game experience. It's tough, man.
So if you're saying that Giras and Chari are going to come like 13th, 14th, is that what you're going to say? Do you think Andalex comes higher than that?
They have last season, right? When no one really believed in them. I think the one thing that I think might be a silent thing that might happen for them is that they looked like when they were playing semifinals that they've been very aggressive on that Cammy split. Obviously, we didn't see too much of Cammy and Seti this season, in semifinals because they won the first game. But on the teams that did end up landing, that they played very aggressive, and Cammy and Seti aren't historically, the best mid game and early game fighters. I think that if they do struggle, Alex and Saito with Surge, which could be the big thing, is they could try to bully on Cammy Seti a little bit. And Saito is a cracked out creative kid from France. That's definitely a factor that I think puts them over Gears and Honey.
Yeah, I think Andalex and Saito just place higher. I think they'll sneak into top 10 again.
I'm going Giras and Chari, so I'm going
Giras as well.
They've been way more consistent this season. Yeah, they've been way more consistent overall. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, well, look, we got to get some interaction here. Can we get a poll going in chat? Should we do a poll on YouTube and on Twitch?
Yeah, they'll each tie. Something different.
Yeah, Geras and Chari, that spot. I think the main thing, maybe it is Geras and Chari, just because of the meta we're in. Because,
bro, Harry, what opinion won't you fold on? Right?
No. Because I like to. No. I still think I'm just thinking through the thought. I would say Andalex and Saito, like in most scenarios, but I think there is a very, very decent chance that Geras and Chari just, as you said, just get enough mid-map zones or even bad zones for Andalex and Saito, and they do well. But I've liked what I've seen from Andalex and Saito. They're really aggressive end game. They are not afraid, as most French teams are, to get on walls in end game. And yeah, they have been one of the most fun teams I've had most fun watching this season. So I'm going to keep with my prediction. But yeah, I mean, there is obviously a world where either of these teams pop off and Quolan. I think there's very easily a world.
I'm looking at Levin struggle to find out how to run a poll.
No, I did it on YouTube.
I didn't see it on Twitch.
No, I didn't do it on Twitch. I thought Holly would do it since I modded her, but she didn't. She's failed me here. So we'll run with what the YouTube people are saying. And now, YouTube. It depends. I don't know how big the audience is. Right now on YouTube, it is 53% in the favor of Andalex. It's very even. Even on YouTube right now.
Knew I was right. YouTube comments are always right, so we're
yes.
Yeah,
brilliant.
A little bit too often.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, okay, we'll go through. We're gonna go with YouTube here. They're saying Andalex and Sato, so we'll go through with those guys. Wox and Pixie versus CZB and Nathan.
I think this is as close. I think this is pretty much like as close, because as you said, Boop, Wox and Pixie were not convincing this weekend at all. They did not show what a lot of people expected out of them. They were not the level. I think it was last game of lowest they qualified from, wasn't it? Last game of the whole weekend, they got a good game. They came, where was it? Yeah, they won last game of lowest to qualify. So I think it's one of those things where CZB and Nathan, so from speaking to people who talk to them, is like the reason why they did so bad on day one, or one of the reasons, is they actually struggled to find DMRs. They just couldn't find DMRs in their landing spot. They never got DMRs. They got more snipers than DMRs, which in this meta is more of a struggle than anything. And they did really well once they, started to get a little bit better loot. But Grand Glacier in this meta, I think it'll be fine, but they're going to struggle early surge because obviously same problems with Pink and Vico, that there's no one near them. I would probably just say CZB and Nathan, though. I think they have shown me more this season that gives me faith that they'll do better in this finals.
Yeah, it does concern me that if Vino and Tayson can't do good from that spot last season in Grants, then, CZB and Nathan, I mean, they've been amazing this season, but in you know what I'm putting out there.
Yeah.
I think I agree. I do think it's the dynamics there are a bit different this season than sort of what they were last season. I think the main thing that concerns me is it's just like nobody really seems to be doing too hot from Grand Glacier. And like you said, better teams have failed, Reese, which I think is fair. I think the big thing is that, again, Wox and Pixie I don't think look too great. I think they have options to change that come grand finals time. But based on what we've seen from Nathan and CZB this season, it's filled me with a bit more confidence if they can figure out some of the early surge stuff. I think there's cool stuff they can do there in terms of like all the like mountains and the pads and stuff that I think we've seen teams do from that area. So I think if they get creative, they can sort out a lot of their surge issues. But I'm not a fan of Grand Glacier, so
Yeah.
It's hard. I think I'll put Nathan and CZB through though. If I was
Yeah,
gonna
I agree.
put them through.
I agree.
Yeah. Cool.
They were also just like the truth at the start of the season too. Like
They were.
yeah.
They were the
You kind of
Harry.
slowed down a bit, but
They were the Coach Harry real deal.
They are the real deal.
All right. Seti and Kami versus Tus and Kami.
yeah, just put say.
Yeah,
Steady
first
Kami,
ever,
Yeah. Video and Reason versus Snazy and Podesai.
Ooh.
I think
Video
this one's
Reason,
easy, but
I think it's a grands like Video
Yeah.
Reason
But-
always end up doing good in grands.
But
regardless,
Video
you know?
Reason's landing spot situation is a worry.
Yeah,
They're landing to the tunnel contested. Well, don't know if they are going to be contested. It depends if they're flexing their streamer earnings is enough to get Trex and Clubshy to leave. But yeah,
I feel like this is one of those situations where, like, you know, a little under the table money might be underhanded here because it's two German that kind of know each other, you know.
This is a crazy
So-
accusation.
Bribery.
Group would feed kills and he'd pay people to not
Hey,
contest.
don't forget doing drugs for Mr. Savage. okay?
Yeah, and doing drugs as well.
But it feels like one of those situations where, like, you know, Reason loves to throw money at a problem a lot of the times, you know? And this seems like one where it could potentially happen because, you know, it's kind of worth it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, you know, I'd say
But it's worth it.
me personally, if I was making $500,000 a month and, you know, I had stream content in front of 10,000 viewers, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I'm
But
just
it's
going to put
illegal.
Reason and Video through. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say much more.
Nevin has been watching. He does not think the M8 win is capable, but
Yeah.
he's not going to mention it.
Even though they're
Yeah.
uncontested now,
French.
because Vino and Tayson are now landing the north side of fencing.
Yes.
Which is interesting as well, because
We'll
that to
talk
me,
about
is,
that.
yeah, we could talk about that.
We'll
when
talk
they
about that
meet
when
each
we
other,
get
probably.
to their matchup. A tough matchup.
Yeah.
Chapentini versus Sky and Scroll.
Chapentini.
Chaptini, man.
Shout out to Science, Sky and Scroll. They look pretty decent on day one of uppers, but Chapentini are the real deal.
They are.
They are the real deal.
35 kills in semifinals.
Oh my
Crazy.
God. I actually can't believe they were in lures. Like, I didn't see. It's hard to track through this qualification system, like how good every team is doing, right? But
Yeah.
because I just looked at most of the leaderboards from like cash cups and whatnot, I was like, man, these guys are just the best. And then when I saw them in lowers, I was actually super shocked. So to see
And
them
they
do
were the
something-
best in lowest.
and they were the best by a long shot, you know.
Yeah.
700 points.
For sure. All right, cool. Back up to the top then. Mustasha Malibuka versus Mappy and Kiro. Who places higher?
See, before this weekend, I would have put this as an easy lock for Mappy Kiro, which is crazy to say because one of them is our FNCS winners. But that one game of confidence, when they knew they were qualified and they had nothing else on the line, they looked so scary. It reminded me of Malibuka Mustache back before they split, you know, just like dominating and running through the lobby and jumping in. And, you know, it's the thing is that's what happens when you don't have Trip and Fedoxy being an ass in, you know, just annoying you the entire time, is when they have free reign, you know, they have that Peterbot effect slightly around that area where, you know, teams are going to be afraid to get run through by them. But Mappy and Kyo just seem more consistent and there's less bullshit that's going to happen to them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would put Mappy Kyo here personally.
As a long-term Malibuka Mustache fan, I'm going Mappy and Kiro, you know, it's just from all the same things. I mean, I do believe in a grands, like, I think we're going to see a much better Malibuka Mustache than we have been seeing. But it all depends on how scuffed they are, how many teams are around them. That, like you mentioned, but that one good game was amazing. But the other games that we've seen from them when they're scuffed, I've not seen like the magic that we usually do. Like, oh, they're in a bad situation, they fight their way out, get some crazy quick refresh, have mats, and they can keep going.
Yeah.
You know, I've not seen too much of that this season, which is their bread and butter.
They say upper bracket 1 is what I feel like Grands is going to be.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
No, I think. Oh, do you want to go?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I have no analysis for you guys here, none
No, like-
whatsoever. Outside of in the past, anytime my gut has told me to doubt Malibuka Mustache, I have been categorically wrong. And my gut is telling me to doubt Malibuka Mustache, and so based off of my gut history, I think they are going to do much better than everyone thinks they're going to do based on what we've seen.
They'll probably
But
just
yeah,
get second,
so-
realistically. You know, I'm saying all of this, and they just get second because they dropped like a 15 kill
Do
win.
you know what I
day
mean? Like,
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Like,
feel like
it's them. Yeah.
I feel like day two, like they'll have a complete disaster class day one. Day two will come through 1.5x points. They'll just have 2 big games that are like big games, and then it will just be like, yeah, they're sitting in 6th place by the end of grand finals. You know, that's just how I feel like this is gonna go for them.
It's crazy we're even talking about this, about Mustache and Malibu Cup, like versus Mappy and Kira. I don't know if that's whether
And
like,
Grimgate as well.
at Grimgate as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. After everything we talked about, Pierbot and Poyo, and they might even be uncontested. You know, if this Finn and Overhalo, if they land there, or if they don't, like if they're going to be uncontested at Grimgate, there's a world we're actually considering Kira and Mappy, and I actually agree. I like because Malibu and Mustache. If you're asking me who's more likely to win this FNCS, it's obviously Malibu and Mustache. They are just more likely to do it. But of what we've seen this weekend, Kira and Mappy are so consistent. They get endgame every game, and the surge problems don't seem a problem. They're not afraid to fight. Classy's really good and easy to get out on the map. I think, I don't know, Kira and Mappy, I just think are, as I said, one of the underdogs. Could easily top 5. And yeah, if we're going off what Mustache and Malibu have been showing this season, I would put Kira and Mappy.
I don't know if you were cracking up for the same reason as I was.
The message, right? Yeah.
Someone in chat said, hot take, Continue drop a 98 kill win first game and the second, then stop playing. Like,
That's
That's a hot take.
that's
a hot take.
You got me.
Scorching.
I don't know, man. So what? So Harry, are you saying Malibu Mustache or Mappy and Kira?
I'm saying Mappy and Kira.
Yeah, I'm outnumbered. I was gonna say Mustache and Malibu, but we got 3-1, I guess. Reese, because wait, Reese, yeah, you got Mappy and Kira as well.
Don't fold now. You cannot tell me about folding.
No, bro.
I mean, the fact that Harry pissed Mappy Kira
saying,
makes me want to flip too.
I mean, as I'm sitting thinking about it, I'm just like, it's still Malibu Mustache,
Yeah.
Right? Right?
It's
That's
like,
like,
you know, I like Levin's analysis of saying nothing valuable.
Yeah.
And just
My
going
God,
with
that's
Malibu
it's good.
Mustache.
It's
it's
good.
the full vibes pick,
it's-
but the vibe is good.
The
You
vibe
know?
is good, bro.
vibe
It's
is
Everything we've
Malibu
seen this
Mustache.
season, so Kira and Mappy, apart from obviously Malibu and Mustache at Grimgate, but of any form of history, it has to be Malibu and Mustache. But
Yeah. I'm going Malibu Mustache. I'm not
I'm
gonna lie.
flip flopping to
I'm
Malibu
flip-
Mustache.
Let's go.
you guys, I
I mean,
cannot
Harry. I
believe
mean, you're bad when you're on the side of Harry. I'm gonna be honest, man. Like,
It's so bad. We all had to flop.
Yeah. What if I now said Malibu and Mustache?
Ooh, the Kiro.
it's too late
Yeah.
now. It's we've already picked
Yeah,
it.
we
There's
picked
no reverse here.
Janice and Flixie versus Dexy and Eclipse.
Janice Felixie.
Yeah, Jenna's Flixie.
I'm gonna have to
Clear
agree
cut.
with Harry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for a piss.
All right. Shout out to
Dexy
Dexy
and
and
Eclipse.
Eclipse, though. Shout out to them.
Well, that's
Yeah.
it, because I said they're going to do bad. Now that's it.
Queasy and Thomas versus Volko and Vortexus. Interesting. What does the panel think about this one? I'm not going to start with Harry this time. I'm going to go to you, Boop, here.
Yes.
What do you think?
So far they are conned by a team that is in the first FNCS Grand Finals, and then Distru and Peroz. Distru and Peroz look like they want to take it to Queasy and Thomas over at Mount Olympus. Doom and Ice look like they don't want to take it, and they land on one chest and they ran away, right? So it's, I think Queasy and Thomas can cook enough while being triple contested, as long as they don't fight the teams there and don't get scuffed, right? As long as one of them don't get rebooted mid-storm, which is one of the games that they did worse in, I think, the one where they had to reboot in Storm and they ended up struggling for Surge. If they can just sort of pay their way, get like 3 or 4 chests, get some decent loot, and then just play dead side with pads after getting a few more Surge tags, I think they outplace Volko Vortex while being uncontested. And that's mainly just the incredible respect I think I have for like a good team versus a mediocre team in the grand finals.
Yeah.
But it is a bit of a crazy take to say them outplacing a triple con team. But like it's Queasy Thomas. They have to, right? Like the teams that are landing on them aren't good.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say when I was talking about Queasy and Thomas before was their last game of uppers impressed me a lot because they were able to, without even just like full fighting, like as in like, and not like getting a bunch of kills, they were able to get enough surge where they could play full dead side and play through Storm and wrap around. They had a really nice path where they obviously used all the paths down the south of the map came in, and they were still like 600 above going into like 4/5 zone. And I think if that's the way they're gonna play, and Queasy, who's a player who has done extremely well from these sort of situations before, where on edge map being able to play a little bit of Storm if he needs to. that weekend has given me more hope than as I said. I'm still not convinced of their end games, but I actually think the Arsenal situation isn't as bad as it looks. I actually think it might help them, the other teams, And if I'm going off the one game, like that was the last game that I watched, obviously Doom and Ice and Destra and Perros, they actually 50-50 the same building. So Queasy and Thomas actually got the rest for themselves. So if we're going off that, and Vulcan Vortex is they are just a middle of the road Grands team. They get somewhere between 15th and 30th every Grands. Like, I think Queasy and Thomas will do better.
Yeah. I also just think like the way that they work, obviously it'll depend on how three teams are going to land there when it comes to the actual finals. But the reality is they were landing on enough loot in terms of like the entrance ramp and going down to the south building and then dropping off into the water down below to play from there. And because there's not like a lot of scuff teams fighting like brawlers beneath them, because it's just Swizzy Vanyak, like they can loot that fast enough and get out and try and loot somewhere else. There's a bunch of like scavenger loot you can kind of get south of it. Whereas for a lot of the teams north, like Doom and Ice, if they ended up running what they do, like there's just not as much you can scout north, in particular when you've got like Reason, Vidil, and Trex are like contesting next to them. So yeah, and let's be real, it's a grand finals. It's Queasy and Thomas. They're gonna do good.
Yeah.
So we go in with Queasy and Thomas here?
Yeah.
Queasy Thomas, baby.
Let's go. Vico and Pink versus Haris and Skivvy. It's funny because we did technically have this conversation / debate last week when we were doing the whole Qual win dud thing. But now it's less Qual win dud and more who do you think places higher in grand finals this weekend? I think based off of what we saw in semifinals, it's just Vico and Pink. I don't know. Haris and Skivvy very much scared me. That whole, like, I felt very good about that team, but again, I think they have shown more so than anything else why like we just need more practice that reflects the most difficult lobbies in the game. Because I think they've kind of been cheesed. They probably, I don't think they got complacent. That's unfair to say, but I think they probably also felt much better about their situation. And then they've gone into semifinals and they've just been, just flashbanged endlessly. So Vico and Pink, I really liked a lot about what they were trying to do. It was very clear when you watch their games in semis versus their qualifier games. They were very different in terms of early and mid-game strategy. They were trying things, right? Like they were just trying a lot of things. And that, again, fills me with confidence in the sense of like, they acknowledge that what they did in qualifiers isn't going to work in Grands. Whereas Haris and Skivvy, I don't think had that same moment of realization of, hey, what we were doing that was so effective before is gonna like not probably work in Grands as well as we think it is. Do I think Vico and Pink found the answer? Because they were trying things, but it's all good to try things, Levin. Do I think they found the solution? They found the answer? Not necessarily. I think they probably will still feel like they need to get a feel for that Grands lobby because again, it's just always harder. But I think they're probably looking a lot better to do well in Grands than Haris and Skivvy.
I also just think like the chance of them getting forecast this season is significantly higher. With them being almost completely uncontested in that area, you've got Combeck and Blatcher to the east of them, which is far away. The chance of them pushing in and getting there, well, I don't know, but relatively low, I imagine. And the fact that Janus and Flexi are contested by Sky and Scroll, and that fight may drag on and scuff either of them. It seems like now this season, if they are going to go for forecast in some games where it does spawn there, they're going to have an easier shot at it. They're going to be the first ones there, regardless. And then the teams of Janus and Flix and Sky and Scroll, if they do end up pushing it after, they're going to be the ones who are basically scuffed from the fight if it takes a long time and reckless. So, and yeah, everything they've shown over the qualifiers and semis has basically just been better than Haris and Skivvy too.
Yeah, I agree. And that's coming from someone who has enjoyed watching Haris and Skivvy a lot this season, as a team who has been performing very well, or much higher than anyone expected at the start of the season. I think the main, if you were going to side with Haris and Skivvy, it's down to can they, within this week, learn enough and change the way they're playing their off spawn to be able to fix it, to be able to play later on, because their end games are extremely good. Like they can play through low and high extremely well. But at the same time, that's Pink and Vico stuff they need to fix. They need to figure out what's the way they're going to get searched. So if anyone's on the side of anyone like, Haris and Skivvy could fix their problems, but then Pink and Vico also could just fix their small problems. And everything else around Pink and Vico, their landing spots are a lot more consistent. Their games in upper bracket and upper bracket were way more consistent. I just see that they are two very similar teams. But after the past week, Harris and Skivvy's stock has dropped so far that, yeah, I mean, Pink and Vico, I don't think it's really a question at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I have a lot more to say about Vico and Pink, but I'll save that for when we talk about it with Koizi and Thomas HD.
Yeah. Cool. This matchup, respectfully,
disrespectfully, put Vino through.
Swissy and Vanyak versus Andalex and Sato. Is there much debate here for you guys in terms of who you think will do better?
No.
Everyone's in Swissy and Vanyak, I'm guessing.
I think it's a bit closer. I think it's a little bit closer than that because if you're saying where would you say Swissy and Vanyak would place like this FNCS? Like seventh, and then Andalex and Sato probably like
11th.
Yeah, like 10th, 11th. So it's not as clear cut as, you know, we're not even on the same level as Vino and Tayson clear cut versus Apple at 2K and Fletchers. I think there's more of a conversation where, as you said, about Andalex being a lot more aggressive towards Cammy split and them actually being able to get surged through that way. But obviously, Swizzy and Vanyak have shown far much more. I think they're a team who still has the capabilities of, if they get the right games, they could win an FNCS. I don't think Andalex.
I'm glad you said that because there was a comment
message
from someone in chat. BloodX said, if Swizzy wins, I'll strip myself naked and start OnlyFans. So,
I mean, it's a hard spot based on like if, say, for example, Mount Olympus was uncontested and Tunnel was uncontested, but yeah, but that is a bit extreme. That is a bit extreme.
And I will add, I didn't start that message, but I will add, after he sent that, Blood said, and Boop will join me.
Let's hope Swizzy and Vanyak don't win then.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
You're changing your prediction, Boop.
I don't know.
I don't think I think they're better than Alex and Sato. I don't think I'm gonna get oiled up for it though. Although Bloody didn't mention oil, so
true.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
just adding.
I'm getting creative here, you know. Might as well make it a show.
Right. CZB and Nathan versus Seti and Cammy.
Yeah, Seti and Cammy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Seti and Cammy. I wish we could have just seen them play more though. Selfishly, you know, like them winning the first game did kind of have me go, that's kind of whack, man. I kind of wanted to watch you guys.
Also, it was just inevitable. You know, they're just gonna win the game. You know, I think I had them as my first team to win a game.
Well, you know what's funny, Boop? I felt the same way last season about them. And because last season they had the most wins in qualifiers, they were winning a bunch of games as well in like other tournaments. Like they were just winning a bunch.
Yeah. And
so I remember I picked them on the broadcast. I was like, yeah, these guys are gonna win a game, guaranteed. They didn't win a bloody game. They qualified upper three on consistency. And I remember like just being so pissed off, like, oh, you guys wanted to win every game in the world. And then as soon as I say, please win a game, you don't win one. And then this season, they just win the first game. It's like, anyway, yeah, shout out to Seti and Cammy.
I want to ask,
and BloodX in that one, I feel like, as well, is a big one.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
want to ask, because Levin, you tweeted about it. I'm interested. Who is actually our best hype team this season? Is it Seti and Cammy? Are they up there for one of the best hype teams we have in EU?
I feel like we haven't seen enough people though this season on height, right?
Yeah. Volco and Vertexers.
That in itself is telling, guys. This is the first season, I think, ever of EU where there is not a clear team that everyone goes, yeah, this is the height team. Last season, most people were saying Vanyak and Syned for most of the season because those guys were on height every single lobby, it felt like, right? But like this season, everyone's a bit like, I don't know actually. Now that you mention it, who is the height team in EU? Like it's crazy. This is like one of the first times. I guess now you would maybe say Chapantini, right? Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, it's only eval cups though, you know, like for Seti and Cammy, it's also like, okay, yeah, but they're not consistently in high. But we also haven't seen enough of Queasy and Thomas this season because you know there's been a lack of qualification for teams in dual cash cups or eval cup qualifications. There just hasn't felt like there's been enough material this season to actively watch and analyze people to see like who's actually good. Because you know we've had eval cups, well, that's kind of dog shit.
Yeah, it's weird.
Very dog shit.
I also think it's like, you know, looking at most other regions, obviously NA is the biggest example where the height team is the grim team, whereas this fly will not leave me alone, man.
Fly's taking high ground.
No, he knew about to start shit talking NA. He was coming to save the
NA fly.
An NA savior in here, my goodness. Obviously, the height team is the grim team with the coin, but Malabuka and Mustache are just not really like a height team for the most part, and they haven't been playing it at all. So, you know, I don't know if I highly doubt that other teams are conditioned by watching NA to know that someone can take height like that. But it's just like, we would have a dominant height team if it was another team who had decided to land Grim instead.
I feel like, I just made this connection in my head. I feel like this season has been quite flipped for Queasy and Thomas and Malibuka Mustache in terms of just like, when you look historically at circumstances they've been in, like, again, Grim isn't the POI for a non-height team. Like, I feel like it's most beneficial for a lot of height teams. Queasy and Thomas in the past, you would have said, like, obviously, I know last season they were like, yeah, we're not a height team no more. We play mid-ground now. Yeah. But like, it's Queasy we're talking about here. Like, that POI, again, I feel like would have probably been better for them. On top of that, like, Thomas has a lot of history with, like, 50-50 off-spawn spots, right? And, like, a lot of the Grim fights are like that. Malibuka Mustache. A spot like Mount Olympus just feels so Malibuka and Mustache. It's just like 4 teams conning it. Like, they're just like there, but it's like it's 4 teams conning it, but it's not even like the best spot. So like, why are you all conning it? Like, I feel like it's swapped. Like in the past, the sort of situations were swapped for both teams. But yeah. Shout out to whoever. I don't know who I'm shouting at anymore. We're doing Reason versus Chapentini.
Shout about Pia Bottom Pollo. Take it.
Sure.
We're doing Reason versus Chapentini. What are we thinking?
Chapentini?
I'm going Chapentini. I mean, that may be a bit of a strange take given it's a grand finals, but like, and you know, it's Chaps first, but I don't know, man. They've had something special this season, and I don't want to let that die quite yet. If it dies in finals, it is what it is. But the dream's, you know, still high right now.
Is this a weird take where I feel like Video and Reason are more likely to win the FNCS, but Chapentini are more likely to be like a top 5 team compared to Video and Reason? Is that weird to say?
I understand what you're saying, because you're saying like if things go right.
Video and Reason. Like Video and Reason last season were looking like they're going to win until the disconnection incident, right? Like they just show up on the grand finals day.
Yeah, true. But it's Chapentini, and they're also going to win games. They're also going to play to win games, and they're going to fight, and they're not going to be afraid to do it. I don't think they will, and it's Teeny, and I think this goes under the radar. It's how much experience Teeny has, and it's not like it's 2 just random fighters who are playing. It's Teeny with a huge amount of experience in grand finals. He does know what it takes to do well.
Einstein.
Yeah, he is.
Basically.
Yeah, so I just think I think with the hype we have at the moment, Chapentini, and we were just talking about it, that we're saying they're the hype team of EU, or might be one of the hype teams in the EU. I think this FNCS is just set up perfectly for them.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think Video and Reason are going to do better, but I'm still voting Chapentini because I want the
I think you guys are just being hipsters, man. I don't know, but like Video and Reason.
Yeah, but Teeny's not a bad. You're saying Teeny like he's a bad player. I understand the chat part of it, but Teeny is not a bad player, and he's still done well in grand finals.
I agree. Teeny is a great player. I don't think there's ever been a season in FNCS history where you would have predicted someone who's never made grands before to outplace Video and Reason. I don't think there's ever been a season where you would say that. I don't know why this is the season. Why is this the season? They're
landing the worst spot uncontested, unless you're going down boot fruit and paying a little bit of money. But they are not in a good spot contested. It's like they're not gonna. It's not like they're landing Snooty again. I don't know why they don't go back to Snooty. In my opinion, like Toots and Kami aren't a Snooty team. They might be, but I swear Video and Reason would just wipe the floor with them. They've been landing there all season and can play for forecast. It doesn't make sense to contest a spot you've never contested before. And if they get it uncontested, it's a different conversation, because then it's like uncontested Reason and Vidil versus uncontested Chapentini. Everything should say Reason and Vidil. But if I'm going off what I'm seeing right now and what I can see on the map, I just have to go Chapentini. And it's not like when they made it to uppers, they struggled. They won their game. It wasn't like they struggled. They went through to lowers and they struggled from there. It was like they qualified pretty easy once they made finals.
I do wonder what confidence, like they're like a momentum team right now and a confidence team. So I wonder how shaky and how nervous Chap will be in a final situation.
Bro, Dupe, when those first couple games, when they're down on Surge, the brother's going to be shaking.
Yeah,
but they're not going to be down on Surge.
You feel your heart beating, the sweat on your palms, on your forehead. Is he gonna go into the bright lights, or is he gonna?
Do you know what I mean?
What you're forgetting?
Timmy's gonna be saying, "Get some tags, bro. Get some tags." He's fucking wet.
I can't hit him, man.
What all this analysis, but you're forgetting the 98 kill win game 1 that Champions.
True, yeah,
it feels like you've forgotten this already.
I don't know. For me, it just feels like a sin to predict someone who's never made grands over video and reason.
Does,
It just
but we should
feel
do
like
it.
a sin.
Yeah, we should.
All right.
I mean, who cares who we're predicting? City Cammy's next anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Hold on. You just put video and reason.
Oh, did I?
Oh,
my bad. No, I can change it.
We have the technology. Nice.
See, my brain wouldn't let me pick them over. Oh god. Okay. Back up to the top then. Malibuka Mustache versus Janice and Flixie.
Are we going on gut instinct here? Because
No,
it's
no,
about
no. No. Genuinely, like, who do you think is going to place higher? Genuinely, like, and all the analysis, all the vibes, mix it together, whatever you genuinely believe. I think.
How long does Sky and Scroll stay at Reckless? Because that's what I think it depends on.
Have Sky and Scott landed other places? They have, right?
They
changed their
landed
spot, right?
Piazza last grand finals, calling
they did
Volk over
shit.
Texas, and they did not great. In the upper bracket, they were conned by Janice and Flixie, and Janice and Flixie kind of rolled through them a little bit. Honestly, I think this one's an easy Mustache Malibuka pick, but I'm also not fully convinced with that being easy. So I don't know why I said easy.
I think, like, if Janice and Felixia had contested or have someone within Reckless 12 for 12, I don't think they struggle at all with Surge. I think they'll be pretty fine. But if it comes to it and Sky and Scroll leave, I think Janice and Felixia have the exact same problems as last season. It's Mustache and Malibuka. So
Yeah. I think if anything, it gets worse for them because I don't think the forecast fights will be as prominent for them to third party like it was last season. So probably gets even harder.
Yeah. I'm liking your gut instinct. I'm going. I think Mustache and Malibuka. I just think we're talking about Mustache and Malibuka at Grimgate. Like, surely.
The thing is, Mappy and Kyo, I would put them over Janice and Flixie as well, right? Like, I think the brackets kind of screwed them over in this sense, but
I would.
Malibuka Mustache.
Malibuka Mustache.
Okay. Was waiting for the big dog to speak, really.
Decision maker.
You're the decision maker. Queasy and Thomas versus Vico and Pink.
Vico and Pink, surely.
I disagree.
Really disagree.
Okay, I think this one's tough, right? If you look at the placements of Vico Ping this weekend, just off of Fortnite track, you know what? They did good. You know, the place was good, the DC consistent, but internally and from what we see from the actual context in the gameplay, they just looked mid. You know, they every single end game, it was either below Surge one game, 300 to 400 mats another game, forcing the issue to where they have to jump in box, and then it ended up being either a Vico solo clutch or a Pink solo clutch in the situation. They didn't look like a well-rehearsed practice team that has a coach. You know, there is very clearly issues with that duo, and there has been issues with that duo for, I feel like, a very long time. But their placements say otherwise because they always have a very good end towards the tournament. You know, they end up winning the last game of the tournament, end up doing well in the last few games of the tournament. So it makes them look a lot better than they are. But Queasy and Thomas are triple contested. So that's, you know, this would have been, you know, not a slam dunk if it was only one team calling Queasy Thomas, I would say.
Yeah, I think, like, Queasy and Thomas, hate watcher here. I think that they've, as I said, like, it sounds a completely different story to how they've done opens and round fours and whatever, right? But Vico and Pink, whatever they did throughout this weekend, as you said, the placements were still there. And I think that's actually quite good for them, that even when they play bad, they can grind out results. Like, even if you're saying that you watched them and you felt like they played bad, as you said, you look at Fortnite Tracker, you think they've had an amazing weekend. So that shows there's still more they can get from this weekend for coming up for Grands. I just think they're still in contention to win FNCS. They're going to get forecast more. They are one of the better teams we have on this region. I think Queasy and Thomas being triple contested just leaves too many variables up in the air for me to put them above Vico and Pink.
So in response, you go.
I was just going to say, like, in terms of actual placements, I think we forget how good Vico and Pink's placements in Grands actually are as well. It's like 3rd, 10th at Globals, and then I think like 8th or 5th or something like that, the one before that. Like, that is incredibly impressive. Given them an on-con situation, Queasy Thomas, triple con, I think it'd be hard to go Queasy and Thomas, to be honest.
Yeah.
Vico, in response to what you were saying, Boop, about them, I think what you're saying is fair in terms of like the placement papers over the cracks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they're delusional about that. I think the problem is when a
100%,
team like, I think the scary thing is when a team has those good placements, but things don't look good. And then they're like, oh yeah, but we place really well. I think they're aware of that, right? Like every conversation I have with Pink to do with like their situation, it's never like cocky of like, yeah, man, we're looking. It's like, no, we're trying to figure out Surge shit. And I think that's the thing I noticed the most where like, you're right. There were a lot of those end games where they're just getting to end game with nothing, like in terms of like loot. Like they just look terrible. Mats are terrible. But again, if I'm trying to look on the bright side, I think even in those games where they look really stretched, they still like did well. Like they're going into endgame with like 300 builds between them, and they're still like getting a top 5. Even that to me fills me with confidence of like, you know, these guys, even if they aren't able to figure out the Surge stuff, I think on the fly, they will do good enough and make micro decisions that are good enough to where they will consistently get to endgame and get something out of it. Yeah. Plus you add the fact that either of them can have like a crazy solo clutch that just like gives them like breathing room in terms of like leaderboard placements. I think they'll do much better than what you're making it sound like. Based off of what the map looks like right now around them, I'm not confident about what they'll do for Surge still. Yeah. You know, they were trying a bunch of stuff, but I still think it'll be hard for them.
Yeah. I'll rebuttal that a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I still think they're placing top 10 100%, right? Like there's no doubt about my mind. And I do know that Pink and Vico are aware of their issues, and they know that, you know, I don't think they're delusional. I think they would even hate me for saying that they played badly, right? I think they know them themselves. They're very aware of it. They wouldn't, you know, go Thomas HD on me like with Harry in that situation. But it's when things go right, and I think Bloodix said in chat that one of the best endgame duos. When things go right, they're insane, and I think they're FNtasia as winners. But when things go wrong, they go very wrong. But then it's made up of the fact that they're both very, very smart. I mean, no, you didn't say this about Vico. You didn't used to say this about Vico, but nowadays, right? They're both very smart and very talented individual players to where they're able to cover and bandit those cracks that you just mentioned, Levin, to where like it's either, you know, they're getting top 3 or they just kind of flunk out and they have a bit too many solo clutches and it's maybe like a top 8 or top 9. It's either or. It's just which one is going to show up this weekend? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and yeah, I'm still worried about the whole dead area around them. It is a huge worry for them, but as you touched on, Levin, it's like I think if you the biggest worrying thing is when teams have such good mid games, they get into end game stacked all the time, and then it comes to grand finals, things go wrong, and you don't know what to do.
Right.
Pink and Vico know what to do when things go wrong. They're not going to have. I doubt they're going to have many, unless it's, you know, some Surge problems. They're probably not going to have many complete 0-point games. They're going to have, you know, consistent games, which they're going to consistently make it to endgame. And when they're in endgame, as you said, they are one of the best teams, if not the best endgame team we have right now in the region. And it's hard for me to put Queasy and Thomas above them.
Cool. I'm going to put Vico and Pink through. Let's scroll down. Veno and Taysom versus Swizzy and Vanyak. I think I know who I'm putting through.
Vano Taysom.
Yeah. I think I'm still gonna save some of my off-spawn analysis for the next round with them. But Seti and Cammy versus Chapentini.
Can you highlight that?
With or without the 98 Bob? Like, are we including it? So instead, not Cammy and Seti. They are just so good.
Can you highlight that message in chat real quick?
What was the message? What was the message?
I missed it myself.
Of course, it's hard for Harry.
Yeah. Ignore everyone else. It's just me.
Hey, Queasy, you wanna jump in there and just like chat to Harry real quick? Yeah. I can send you the link, but you can jump in if you want. Just let me know, but we'll make it happen. All right. Oh wait, no. You
missed the bottom one.
Yeah, my bad. All right, Seti and Cammy versus Chapentini. Who do you think is going to place higher?
Okay. Just put Seti and Cammy through.
Yeah, cool. I thought you guys were going to do your hipster gimmick again.
No, we're not delusional.
No. Okay, all right. That's
we
fine.
established this last time we were talking about Chapentini.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Mustache and Malabuka versus Vico and Pink. Who places higher?
Oh
I
my.
think this one's Mercer's Malabuka. Just based off of the pop up, like again, it's a battle of like the inconsistencies, and the more consistent games that Malabuka Mercer's produce over Vico and Pink are going to be the ones where they get 12 to 15 kills. You know, Vico and Pink aren't producing 12 to 15 kills in endgame. They're getting 4 to 5 kill top 5s and top 6s, which I think over a 12-game period, especially with the 1.5 times format, I think plus Grimcoin and improvement we've seen, Mercer's Malabuka, I think is a safer pick here. But I could see it either way with Vico and Pink. I
The
think it's
further
close.
we're getting into this bracket, the more I'm like, it's Malabuka and Mustache at Grimgate. How can it's literally just Malabuka and Mustache at Grimgate? The fact I even said Mappy and Kero is ridiculous. Now I think about it, it's like it's Mustache and Malabuka at Grimgate. Grimgate promised what Peter Bolt and Poyo have done, and Malabuka and Mustache are a better team than Peter Bolt and Poyo, and they will do, I think, more with the Grimgate coin. I don't know. I think, yeah, Vico and Pink are in contention, but surely Malabuka and Mustache, you said they have those pop-up games. They're going to get Grimgate. They're going to drop 10, 15 kill games multiple times in this FNCS.
I think like Malabuka and Mustache have a significantly higher chance of dudding and being sub.
Yeah, if this was Vico,
it's just Vico and Pink though. Like, let's be real.
Okay, if this was who's more likely to not make top 10, then it would feel much easier to make a decision because I feel like it's Malabuka Mustache is very more volatile. The thing I'll throw into the spanner I'll throw into the works of you guys is, does it not concern you that in the games where they did get Grimgate coin, like they looked very lost for Surge, like it still wasn't like the smoothest games. It's like because I think the thing most people say to you now is, yeah, okay, the Oswald situation doesn't look as messy as it has leading up to Grands. But even when they did get Grimgate coin, it wasn't like complete domination. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't what you were seeing from Peter Bolt and Poyo and some other teams, other region. Like, it's
not
still
refined at all.
Yeah, it looks tough for them.
How many games do you think Malabuka and Mustache get Grimgate coin in Grands?
8.
6 to 8. Depends how many people are there, but
let's say it is 8. Do you think 8 games with Grimgate coins can be more than Vico and Pink? Do you think Vico and Pink are going to have 4? Like, you know, I think there's a chance of Vico and Pink, as you said, boot multiple times, that they struggle with Surge in 4 or 3 games. It's like, so Vico and Pink 9 games into endgame, or Malabuka Mustache Grimgate 8 games not guaranteed into endgame.
Vico Pink also, I guess, have the full attention of Blood X now, because now that Mongo and Savage are out. I don't know how much of a factor that makes, but he'll have him shouting at them if that makes any sort of difference in this conversation. I think it's kind of crazy. We said that Mercer Malabuka better than Peter Bon and Poyo. You know, I'm EU biased, but I don't think
that was a resub take. That was a resub take.
I didn't say
that. Resub. It was all you, bro. Yeah, it was all you.
Oh wait, who was it that said that?
That was Harry.
Oh, it was Harry. Oh, okay.
All I'm saying is, Peter Bon Poyo, when the games matter, 330 below Surge. But we'll get on to that later on.
I was a Blood X fan.
Yeah. When the games matter, 330 below Surge. But we'll talk about that in NA. But
I mean, I think Malabuka and Mercer have looked a lot less rehearsed over at Grimgate, to where I don't think that comparison makes much sense so far, but they have had more
I'm just saying they're a better team. They are a better team on paper than
there's a lot of people in the chat who are like, you know, they're uncon. Why do you guys not think they're gonna get that many games of Grimgate? So for one, at least, so they were uncon as of yesterday, but at least the updated map says Finn and Ovalos are landing on them. So then people go, okay, yeah, but those guys are random. So my thing is, cool. Let's say they start landing Grimgate. Then there's no way they just spend the whole 12 games uncontested at Grimgate. That's not happening.
Not one chance.
It's not happening. If you think they will just get Grimgate uncontested, the whole season we've all been sat here saying Peter Bot and Poyo can't possibly get it uncon all 12 games because look what happens on EU. Why would anyone? So there's no way
that's
now we're gonna
that's
flip.
The aura
right?
Mustache and Malabuka.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way we're now just gonna flip it and go, yeah, of course, Malabuka and Mustache would get it uncon all 12 games.
No, I don't know. I
knowing that they're not great off spawn as well,
right? Like, there's no way that happens.
Unlike Peter Bot and Poyo, yeah.
The fact that now that Finn and Avalo team have now said, actually, we want to land Grimgate when they've not landed it all season, tells you how people are going to be thinking going into Grands. Like, there's no way to get it on all 12 games.
Plus, with Fred and third partying in, and I'm sure they won't be the only team.
No, I agree. But it's Malibuka Mustache at Grim Gate. Like it just like in my head, it's like get to grand finals, get the Surge off spawn fighting, get the Grim Gate coin. It's like, how can that really go that wrong? Like,
I mean, again, I think, like I said, it either goes right and they place first or second.
Yeah.
I think there's a 0.4% chance they place between 3rd and 10th. Like, I see no way of that happening.
Oh, no, they can place 10th. 2 good games, 10 bad games. Literally just like 2 fucking like 12 kill to 14 kill games. But yeah, I agree. I think
I like that, Reese. It's either they come first or second, or they just not top 10.
Really, yeah. It's like there's not. I don't think
the
there's a conversation. And for me, like, I think Pico. Well, who are we talking
Pico?
about? Who are these guys? Vico Pink, far too consistent to put them below, above them in my eyes.
Who do you think's okay? So consistency, but who do you think is more likely to win though?
I definitely think Mustache Malibuka is more likely to win, no doubt. But that doesn't mean I think the chance of that is high.
Yeah. Okay. I can see it. I mean, I did say that I think Vico and Pink are in contention to win. I think they're obviously top. I think they're top 5. It's just, do I think Mustache and Malibuka can just have that pop off of a day where they just top 3?
They can. That's the point.
Yeah,
but I don't think. I think the likelihood of that is significantly lower than Vico and Pink doing good and placing higher than them. So
I swear we have this discussion not we specifically, but the discussion about Malibuka and Mustache every season, and then they just get there anyways. They just do it.
So I don't know if I'm guessing a lot of conversations in chat are now just spiraling and unrelated, but I'm seeing a couple of things that are confusing me. So I'm not even going to acknowledge them because I don't want to take things out of context that people are saying. I want to say Malibuka Mustache because it makes sense, but my problem that I've had is just that, again, even the games I've seen them get the Grimgate coin have not been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They like are running around trying to reboot each other because one of them's died and this and that and the other. Like, it's just weird. Like they're down on Surge and like fucking 7th zone, and I'm like, what's going on here? So I don't know.
I mean, I think on that, the way you have to look at it is like, how are you comparing like how Peter Bottom Poyo play it to how they play it? And it's like almost every single game, even if they're fighting off Swan and have their Surge, they confirm more Surge by fighting someone else for a bunker or whatever it is. Whereas Malibuka and Mustache are just not able to do that anywhere near as consistently. Like, they're fighting with the coin. It's nowhere near as good. Their height plays. They don't play for height most of the time. So it's not as good. So yeah, they have the coin, but they're not using it in the same way as most of the other teams are in the lobby. Hey, maybe it just comes to finals and they're like, we've been fooling you all along. We were a height team. We know how to just jump in everyone's box with this, but like, I don't know. I'm not convinced right now.
Boop, you've been quiet for a bit. I want to get your verdicts.
I think I'm gonna start repeating the same things I've said before. I think what will happen.
Yeah.
I still think Vico and Pink. Yeah, I still think Vico and Pink. It's whether the day works for them. I think Mercer's Malibuka or the better team. So I'm picking Malibuka Mustache. Okay. It just depends on how much of a dickhead Fedoxy is, man. That's it. That's Fedoxy, man.
I'm picking Mustache Malibuka as well because I just think that, like, as I said, there's a lot less analysis. I do think Vico and Pink are the better team this season, clearly, but
they play better Fortnite. That's the way I think. They play Fortnite correctly. Mercer's Malibuka don't, but they get away with it because they just get kills and go crazy. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fair enough. On to the next.
The real final.
The real final. Okay. Wow. Okay. That in itself is a big statement. Venno and Taysom versus Saint and Cammy. Who places higher in grand finals? We've not actually said much about Venno and Taysom because most of their matchups, it feels like they've just cleared. But now we can do some analysis. Yeah. Of course, now Venno and Taysom no longer land in the south side of Fenton. They've decided to land on the north side instead. They're allowing the Frenchies to exist there. What's everyone's thoughts on this and who places higher?
Taysom
already said Cammy, so that says enough, you know.
This is a classic pro player jinx, though. You know, he's saying that
we're dog shit, man. Like,
I don't have any valuable analysis to add because I haven't watched any of Vino and Tayson's games this season. I'm going to be real, outside of them fighting off spawn because of the way that the broadcast has been basically to show it. Mm-hmm. But I just think just looking straight at placements like Satan Cammy are just so much more consistent in every single grand finals ever, and it's hard to put anyone above them ever.
Yeah. The only time last season went wrong because the whole fighting meta, everyone having to fight for Surge. But I think, yeah, there is rarely going to be a meta here where I know obviously the chains and everything, but with the DMRs and the waterbending and everything like that, I just think there's hardly going to be a meta where Cammy and Seti are going to be more suited. You know, I think going into this season or going into what we'd expect this grand final, that's probably would have been Cammy and Seti versus, you know, Cheetah and Trulex. You know, when it comes to the two teams who play this meta the best, when it comes to mid game and Surge. And Taste and Vino, even though they have won the best spots for this meta uncontested, won the best sides at least, or like at least won the sides of the landing spot uncontested. Seti and Cammy are like just they're too consistent, they're too disciplined. It's hard for me. I think Vino Taste are going to have too many games where they get 0 points in comparison to Seti and Cammy.
Really, you think they have a lot of 0 point games?
No, I think
on north side.
New target acquired.
Oh my god! No, they're more likely to have 0 point games. Do you want me to say? Do you want me to?
Coach Ginger back at it again.
So I think it's interesting. The whole north side thing, I think it makes sense. Like I asked Tayson why he did it, and I won't like say everything he said because he might not want people to know, blah blah blah. But I think common sense would make a lot of sense in terms of, yeah, if you actually look at the north sides, at least from my experience of landing there, the metal's better on the north side anywhere. There's more loot on the north side. You obviously get like that slurp truck as well. If you look at how they've dealt with the Frenchies, I don't think they'd be too scared of those guys being around them and you think about fighting it. The one thing I'd say, and I wonder, are they still, because I know there was a bunch of games, right, where you look at Veno and Tayson. I've not watched them a bunch this season as well, Reese, but there were a couple of games I watched of them where they would actually play pretty aggressive towards the south, towards City and Cammy's side. They'd play for that bunker, right? A lot of defensive teams have been doing that. They go south and play for that bunker. Do they still do that now that they're landing north instead of south, right? Like, do they still have like the priority over that compared to Snazy and Podeside? Because I think Snazy and Podeside like to do that as well when they've had chances to play it, which hasn't been many, but yeah.
What do you think of the Veno Tayson just deciding, hey, we're gonna give you guys space in fencing, and we're not actually gonna fight you, right? Like, what kind of mentality do you think that gives to the other team?
A mature one to start with. Like
it's completely selfish. It's completely. I think it's like fake friendliness. It's like imagine like, you know, someone, you're walking with someone and like, you know, on the other side of the door, like they're about to like fall into like the pits of hell, and you're like, hey man, you first, you know. It's like it looks like you're doing something nice for somebody, but like you're not really. You're leading them to their demise. If you look at the only problem they've had at fencing this season when contesting those guys, what's it been? It's been getting third partied.
Yeah.
So if you say you're gonna con those guys south side, so you leave the room for someone to say, okay, well now we're gonna land north side and third party you guys. Because if you're just like, yeah, we'll claim north side, you're not gonna get like. I don't think anyone now in Grands who's in this lobby would be foolish enough to say, yeah, we're gonna con Veno and Tayson north side.
No.
So I think if anything, it's smart.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I don't think there's a single team in this lobby who would see a pro team contesting another team and having a drop spot that is literally right next to it open up for a complete free and be like, oh, they've just been bitched off spawn. Oh, they've won almost every off spawn. They're clearly shit and they've just run away. No, it's like, it's just common sense to go and like grab the free loot, you know?
I saw when they made the tweet saying they were landing north side, I saw M8 fans in the comments going, ha ha ha, you've left.
Hashtag M8 win, hashtag M8 win.
Are you good? Like, what are you? Like, oh my god, it's crazy. I mean, I love M8 though. If any M8 ultras are watching, respect.
We love M8, yeah.
I ain't the blue in it. But hello. Yeah, so I don't know.
I'd say the one worry I have for Taze and Veno, and maybe it's not even a worry based off the spawn scores we've seen so far, is like, you know, have Snazy and Podeside had enough, right? Like after 8 games of an FNTasia's grand finals, you know, Snazy Podeside, maybe like top 30, top 25, maybe, you know, depends on how good they do. We haven't seen too much of them in late games. They looked decent when they made late games, but we haven't seen enough in set lobbies because they just get based on spawn. It's like, when do they decide, you know what? FNtasia, fuck you guys. You know, hashtag MA win. You keep tweeting and mocking us. It's enough. We're going Northside and we're taking you the fight. Or we're just going to try to grief you in the tunnels and, you know, hide on the chest or do some stupid shit. Is there a world where that ever exists and that could possibly be the difference on a day 2 versus Cammy and Seti here?
Yeah, I mean that's why I said they're more likely to get 0-point games, because when you are landing a landing spot where even if you're not contested, there is a team on the other side, there is always the chance that Snady and Podeside decide to do something. There's always the chance that they are going to fight you, or even not fight you, just hold you for surge, or try and do any sort of play which just slows you down or griefs your early game or makes the mid game that little bit harder. When, as we said about Cammy and Seti, it's like, well, they're going to have 12 games uncontested. The biggest worry they're going to have is Andalex and Seitu for the bunker. But they don't even need to get the bunker if they don't want to. But it is interesting because Taste and Vino's playstyle, playing towards the bunker, as you talked about, is what I saw them do a couple of times is they'd leave the barrels in the huts spare, and then they go to the bunker, fight a bit, get a little bit low, and then come back and use the bunker, use the barrels or the berries for spare heals. So they kind of like to play aggressive and fight a bit for surge, and then have the berries for spare heals, which they don't actually have to do anything with. They can also just use the berries and the barrels, obviously, for surge basing. So
I mean, you do that when you've allowed a team to just have that part of your POI.
I don't know.
It's leaking their strats now as well as crazy, by the way.
Yeah, that Duo Cash Cup open strats.
Yeah.
The Duo Cash Cup open strats.
Even again on that topic of like specific like strats, like we saw them a lot in terms of like surge base and on that main building. Like you can't really do that now if you're just allowing that team to have that. But I've not watched a team that lands north side fencing, so I don't even know what north side fencing teams do for surge. Like I don't know. They might.
I mean, you can just do the same thing
on the like the tower building with the barrels.
On like the east one.
On the north. I mean, I don't.
On the
really
west
know.
one, sorry. On the west.
I think the only problem with surging on basing not on the south house is that you miss like the vision to your south, so it probably wouldn't work actually, to be honest with you. And that's when you're able to hold guys like Andalex, and because looking at like how Malibu and Mustache last season did that, when they did base on that exact same base, they're heavily relying on the guys who are to the south of them rotating up to farm them for surge, whether it's Cammy City or Andalex last time. So I don't actually know if you would be able to. You probably wouldn't be able to still do that from.
Can you see fencing
north.
from reels? Like, is that distance close enough if you're north side, south side?
No, that's way too far.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I mean like Trulix and Chicha, you know, they're gone from reels, you know, low VP from Slappy, but I guess not applicable here. I'm picking FNtasia. I think Seti and Cammy look good, but on 4 zone pools, they don't look consistent enough, and you can see that from some of the games in set lobbies. That I think a mid-map spot with a lot of opportunity and with Tayson looking a lot more primed up than last season, I think this is a FNtasia win.
And anyone else want to make their final verdict so that we can get to the final matchup?
Cammy and Seti. I still just think this.
Cammy and Seti too, yeah.
I just think this meta, and they just there's less variance to their playstyle. I just think they're going to be more consistent. I think that if it came into day 1 and they were on the same points, I'd be maybe a little bit more worried that, Vino and Tayson could have those games that matter. No, but as in, I think Vino and Tayson could have those games which day 2 matters more than Cammy and Seti consistently make an end game. But I think just Cammy and Seti are just going to have very, very consistent day. They'll have their wins as well. They're now, obviously, they're working with BloodX, are now game winners as well. I think it's just, to me, they are the best team at the moment. So I'll go Cammy and Seti.
Well, I was going to say FNtasia, so we got a poll, guys. We're going to leave it to the chat. We're going to leave it to the chat. We're going to leave it to the chat. I'm going to do, I have to do the Twitch one as well? Because
just do slash poll. It's easy.
Yeah, I know how to do it. Slash poll. I know how to do it.
Well.
2 places higher.
Queasy's been spamming. Pick a team.
We just love the suspense,
Yeah.
Cammy, Seti, FNtasia. You guys should like talk while I do this so that there's not.
I mean, Tayson makes a point like why they're not talking about Cammy and Seti at all. I think we talked a lot about Cammy and Seti in previous rounds.
We did.
Yeah.
I do think the spawn situation in fencing is a little bit more interesting than what Cammy and Seti are going to be doing, because we've seen them in this spot before, right? Like this, it's a repeat of last season, slightly different meta, slightly different way that Cammy and Seti play. But I think it's going to be slightly the same issues that they've had in grand finals before. I still think they're going to win the top 5 and call LAN, but those games, it's gonna be one of those weird things of like mismatch. It's like a puzzle piece, right?
Yeah.
If Merchants and Malabuka have that game that they're gonna do good in, and that's ironically the game that City and Kami are also gonna do good in because they have a good zone for it. I wonder who wins in those sort of situations, Malabuka, Mustache, or City and Kami, in terms of like thinning out the lobby or taking height potentially. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think Vino and Tayson have shown this season, like, well, they proved everyone wrong after all of the critics last season who are telling them to split. They have stuck together, changed spot, and now in conversation to winning it. They're finally back on form that we expect out of Vino and Tayson. It's just, as you said, Boop, you did talk about it, about last season's surge problems, and it's interesting whether they can fix what happened last season, if the meta changes enough for them to change it, or if they have enough cooked, in the, obviously the water bending we found out about, if they have anything else planned for this FNCS, which we probably assume they do. Set and Kami always like to come up with new ideas. But yeah, it's just a flip of a coin, to be honest, between Seti and Kami and Vino and Tayson. But yeah, what's the pulse?
Well, the Twitch poll was in Veno and Tayson's favor by quite a significant margin. So YouTube, I think we just got all the Polish viewers on YouTube. Kami and Seti won on YouTube, are not by as much, and there was less votes on YouTube. So we're gonna go with the Twitch poll on this one. Twitch picked Veno and Tayson. So now for the final, Mustache and Malabuka versus Veno and Tayson. Who do you think places higher?
I mean, I've already put the doubt in everyone's mind, as we all have for Malabuka Mustache already. So
yes,
I just think that's a clear Vino Tayson sweep.
I think it's clear.
Who,
I think Malabuka.
Yeah, I think I've called them winning this season already. I think they're winning. Yeah.
Now Tayson will be able to sleep now that
Tayson said he's not going to be able to sleep now that I said that he was going to win. And funnily enough, he also subbed to Nikov for his M8 win emote, which is crazy. If that's some disrespect, I don't know what is in this situation. He's taking my $5. I got millions of it.
Okay, I can't believe this is as clear cut.
Are you gonna offer us a different solution?
What does your gut say?
I was gonna say Veno and Tayson, but I thought we would have more of a discussion about it. But yeah,
I just think Kami and Seti might have been closer to Mustache and Malabuka. Or I just think that was the final, to be honest. The way the bracket worked, Vino and Tayson and Kami and Seti, I think they are the two best teams we have in this moment in time, or the two teams with a chance. Or
it's those three teams, though. I think Malabuka, Veno, Tayson, or Kami, Seti. It's always those three teams, and usually you put in Queasy, Thomas, HD in that list, and maybe Chulix and Chicho. But their spawn situation are different. It's always the top 5 teams every single season. But yeah, it could be either one of those three. But mid-map is king. As Veno says, Surge is king. And I think Surge is best for Veno and Tayson this season. That's obvious.
I agree.
Well then, let's lock it in. According to FNtasia, Veno and Tayson will win FNCS this season. Let's see how wrong we are next week. Damn, good job, guys.
Who gets third?
Yeah, I mean, we could continue to order this. I think, to sum up this in a bit, I think the bracket was unlucky for some people. I think there's a couple people that probably would have made it a bit further if they got a more kind of bracket. But generally, I think we got...
I think this top 4 is the top 4. I think this 4 is the top 4. Vino Tayson, Kami Seti, Vico Pink, and Malabuka Mustache.
I think Suzy Vanya could slip in. I don't know.
Interesting.
You just want that because of what
But one thing we could do real quick is, unless we don't have time for it, is what 5 teams are making LAN? Because we have 4 teams there, 2 already qualified. Like
we can do that, but then we're just not going to speed run through NA.
Yeah, we have an NA bracket as well, which is less teams, but we still have
no analysis on NA. All
we can NA full vibes. I'm down to do a full
no analysis on NA.
I'm down. I'm down to do that. All right, let's do a full vibes NA bracket. I'm so
purely from the heart. That's it.
Surely it's Oliver, OG, and Peter Bot together in the first one. Just make it happen.
All right. Let's do it. Oh, what's going on here?
What have you done?
No, I saw people atting Thomas in chat, so I thought he's here. Is he here? We got Thomas here?
I think I just see Harry's lip quivering.
He's showing the long list.
There you go.
Thomas.
He's doing this on his screen right now. He's just blocking out one corner of it.
God.
I can only
All right.
see 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
So we got less teams here on NA to sort through, so this should be a lot quicker.
Thank
And
God.
we're doing full vibes. Aviv and Chubbs versus Bryce and Bolts.
Bryson Bolts.
Bryson Bolt's easy. Aviv and Chubbs look shit.
Did you see Aviv's tweet?
Yeah, he said,
Yes.
why? Did you say something like, who paid Chubbs? Who paid Chubbs to throw my FNTS is crazy. Like, that is a crazy tweet. Acorn and Cold versus Baka and Paz.
Acorn Cold.
Taking cold.
I think Baka and Paz got unlucky with that matchup.
Yeah.
Because I think they're all right. Muzz and Paper versus Yomzo and Rise.
Muzzle paper.
I'm still surprised the Yomzo Rise are uncontested in that whole split.
Yeah.
You know, we thought we was gonna go different, but that is like we said, that's the conditioning that's been happening the entire season from practice and everything else. That getting unconned.
Yeah.
I think that's closer than it might seem. But I think off of history, Yomzo Rise.
It's
I
got to
like-
be Yums Rise. I love Muzz and Paper, but
Yeah, I
I
love
got to go Yums Rise.
I'll stand up for Muzzle paper, but that probably means I'm wrong. So go Yomson, right? Just go ahead.
Fall on the ground.
That's so good. Aegis and Booga versus Clicks and Epic
Clicks.
Well.
Millionaires. Get the millionaire. Oh, it's
2
Barlow.
millionaires.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Barlow
yeah.
millionaires.
Millionaires, bro.
Yeah.
3 millionaires in ages.
Yeah, 2v1. The millionaires win.
Yeah, 2 millionaires on one side. Clicks and Epic were kind of disappointing me this weekend. I don't
They
know.
did, yeah.
At least in upper bracket 1 and upper bracket 2, they looked like the games where they just had no sniper, the Surge was awful. Every game just seems like they were on edge for Surge and they had to make a play happen, and they did make a play happen. I had them as being the unlucky team that could have won FNCS this season if Peter Bonpoyo were never born. But now I'm a little bit less convinced. I do think they're better than Aegis and Booga just in terms of overall everything. But I think they could dud this season. I think very easily.
Yeah. Aegis and Booga use wings. So I think that's all we really need to know.
Oh, well.
They are the only team I have seen who actually uses wings, and I still don't think they look that useful to use them. But yeah. Oh,
I'm
hold
not-
on.
Hey,
You can roll me all you want. We're not talking about it. We're not
Levin
talking
just skipped Peter Bon and
What
Poyo
about
over
Mpen's
Mpen.
point that he's dropping? Is that part of it? Is that-
No, he's fighting for it now. Apparently, he said, "Enough is enough. I'm taking the entirety of Siphon POI." He said,
Wow.
which yeah,
Good on him.
Bro,
Good on him. I'm
bro
proud
is
of
not
him.
Peter Bon and Poyo, but
bro's
saying
not
that,
him.
but yeah.
Frets and Sphinx versus Ritual and Reet.
Ritual Reap.
Ritual Reet.
I was
Rachel
not
Reed.
too impressed with Frets and Sphinx from what I saw during.
So where's Oliver OG in this list? What?
By the way, guys, if you're wondering why your favorite team is missing from this, Harry made this bracket, and if he didn't put them, he thinks the team is crap. So any team that's not on here, Harry thinks is rubbish. Just so you guys know.
He
you
knows
very
the
much.
rubbish. He knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no thinking.
Yeah,
It's all
true,
no.
true. Dukes and Mira versus Kanada and Cooper.
Canada
Canada.
Cooper.
Canada.
I want to say one thing about Canada and Cooper. Every game I watch them, I feel like they're the most scuffed going into endgame, but every game's just a god endgame. I don't know how
Yeah.
I do not know how they do it. You can not watch their game for 20 minutes and they'll have 300 builds, and then you can not watch for 5 minutes and they've come third. That's literally it's
They remind me
impossible.
of Vico and Pink in that sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're just gonna always make endgame look good, even when they are scuffed.
I mean, that was basically global championships in a nutshell. Like some of the worst mid games you've ever seen from Cooper Miro, and then they just keep getting out of the situation over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Another NA fraudulent LAN
Obviously,
Yeah.
statement. Yeah, of course.
What are we picking the EU team here? I think we forgot to.
Yeah, of
course.
Sony,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Sony, right?
They're
Full
winning
vibes.
this
We're going
whole thing,
full
man.
vibes.
Yeah. Just
Should
wait
we
till they
let them win the bracket?
just wait till they meet.
With the
Peter
least
Bonpoyo.
biased podcast.
yeah.
We're losing all our NA viewership after the show, bro. It's over.
Yeah,
Okay. Acorn and Cole versus Bryson Bolts.
Acorn Cold.
Yeah.
Bryson Bolts were really good this weekend, though. They severely impressed me because they had so many second places. They made endgame also while being contested, I believe, and now they're uncontested. I think they're a sleeper top 5 this season potentially.
They're basically the only team that plays for height outside of the Peter Bottom Poyo. From the minimal games I've watched, they're always trying. They
Yeah.
keep dying, but they keep trying.
This is the battle of the Blood X babies here.
Yomzo and Rise versus Clicks and Epic.
Ah,
Well,
Yonzo.
Blood X, you tell us, man. You tell us.
Which
yeah,
Chiro
go
do you
on.
love more?
Oh, he did say in chat, go Ginger Power.
That could
I
be
think that
about
might
Harry,
be his
though.
answer. Oh, true.
Yeah, he's talking about
That's true.
Jerry.
I can't, yeah. I mean, yeah.
My one
Blood-
pays more probably.
Blood X, don't go quiet now. You gotta pick. We're basing this off of Blood X. Your next message in chat determines the answer.
Which one are you dancing naked? Is basically the one.
Blood X is. I ain't
picking shit. That's Clicks and Epic Will.
He said shit. That's shitter. Yeah.
Yeah,
I ain't picking the shitter. He mistyped it. He's not picking the shitter. He said.
Oh yeah, it's a typo.
Pick the arms of rise.
Yeah, it's the arms of rise.
Blood X
That's pretty cringe.
Yomzo and Rise will do better than Clicks and Epic Will.
That's crazy. It's Clicks pays him double.
Wait, I think I pressed it wrong. There you go. No, I fixed it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Blood X, for the answer. Peter Bottom Poyo versus Ritual and Reet.
Can we just put Peter Bottom, Paco, and Mixon through?
Can we just like double click Peter Bottom Poyo? Is that possible? No. I'm doing one more. There you go.
We're gonna pre-fire it. Canada and Cooper versus Paco and Mixon.
This is obviously a Paco and Mixon win.
Obviously, Paco and Mixon. Like
Paco Mixon, clear.
Yeah, obviously.
Guys,
is anyone
I'm sorry. I wanted to back this, but I'm not having it.
Is anyone a little sad of how shit Paco Mixon are doing in an A? Like this
is
anyone's heart just like broken? You know, I'm just like, fuck, man, what are you guys doing?
We said it though. When they moved, I think on this podcast we did highlight the fact that like they're not like some top EU team that's moved over.
Not even nearly.
Do you know what I mean?
Like NA tier 1 is EU tier 3, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah. Shout out to Paco and Mixon though. Acorn and Cold versus Yomzo and Rise. Acorn and Cold. Well, sorry. I scrolled down, but this one's already decided. Peter Poyo versus Canada and Cooper. Peter and Poyo win. And then Acorn and Cold versus Peter and Poyo.
Oh, we can. Where's the clips? Where's the think Peter Poyo could have done it.
Go ahead, Harry. You have the 60. Make sure it's 60 seconds though.
I'd love to say a lot.
Why are Peter Poyo not winning?
We actually, the only thing we're not talking about is Peter Poyo potentially being quad card. That's the only thing we're not talking about.
I did forget about that.
We are not talking about
it. Nixon's winning.
Run it back.
Run it all back.
For reference, he's called by a guy called Dorito. Like,
ooh.
His name is Dorito, man. Like, never had a chance.
I mean, there's a world that they
can't even counter that.
yeah. Dorito, I can't counter Dorito and Kobe. Just
Kobe.
I'd love to say Acorn and Cold, but I guess you just gotta say Peter Poyo.
Yeah.
So even with them being quad conned, we're still saying Peter Poyo just win FNCS. Is that the vibe?
I think the map's changing, right? Surely.
I mean, NA's so bad that even if they're quad conned, they'll probably still just they'll get like the coin and loot in half their games to still win. Like, I mean, obviously we've already made the hot takes in previous episodes that they will not win. I feel like now that we're doing predictions, we should predict that they win, so we seem smart.
Yeah. My winner got knocked out early. I wanted Clicks and Epic World to move forward. I know they did bad this weekend, but as you said, Boop, I was on your hype train that you said like last week, where I felt like they were looking good, but
they were looking really good, yeah.
And
then this week everything just got they just got shot down, man. Surge.
Yeah.
Also, Paco Mixon, to go back to EU, of course. Paco Mixon also they struggled for Surge, so like that's a good question. Is NA Surge hard?
When they contested, like quite a few of them.
They were triple con in one of the upper brackets, and then they were single con by Zypra. And then when they were uncontested, they died to Surge, and they just stood there and took it, which was
making it easy.
Paco Mixon were looking like a very obvious tier 3 team in EU. Like the badness was showing.
They were hiding the strats for grand finals. They didn't want to let NA know what they got cooking.
Yeah, I'm glad a YouTuber commented this. Did Paco and Mixon do good in EU?
Thank you, Stinky, for
good.
20.
Oh, in EU.
So for people who don't know much about them, they were not a very good team. They didn't even play together. Well, Mixon was decent when he was playing with Blaha. They like were all right for a bit in time. They looked like they were
good.
Yeah, like they looked like decent, but they were never like a top team. And Paco hasn't looked too hot in quite a while.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Why did you say a YouTube comment rather than saying we have a comment from Stinky Farter 420?
Yeah.
Thank you, Stinky Farter. Next time I'll make sure to highlight your name first. You're a great point, Reese.
Got respect the viewers, man.
The thing is, Paco Mixon, I think Mixon is like top 40 EU PR. Not that PR matters that much, but that's that reference there. But just that doesn't mean much when it comes to setting up duos, and they're only there to get Cammy and City uncontested at LAN. But so far, so good. So
I love how we're talking about NA and we still talk about the EU team the most out of everyone.
Somehow. Sounds about right.
Based.
All right then. So are we gonna keep stalling, or do I just move them into?
How many games are Peter Poyo winning? Let's get a number out there so we can see who's right.
3.
Okay, changing.
Ooh.
Only 3?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. I think
How
they
much are
done
you
up
saying,
on a
Evan?
bunch.
But then why are we predicting them to win? That's like
Because they'll still, like I just said, they'll win in 6 games, you know?
Yeah, that'll be enough.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna match Queasy and Venno. I think it's 6.
I'm not gonna mix them win the other 6.
I'm saying 5. I'm
Okay.
saying 5.
All right, Reese, you
Okay.
going up or down one, or am I change? You keep on three.
What is it? The price is right?
What are you changing?
I'll
You're
go 2 then. I'll go 2 then. Fuck it. Fuck
Bitch, Harry bitched again and flip flopping.
Wow,
Class.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah.
Alpha off of that win opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we got to put them to win.
Are we
And
not
then-
going to talk about the fact that Bucky didn't call? We
No.
are not going to talk about that. Yes.
Shout out gambling sites.
Stinky fart with the good take. Echo wins 12 out of 12. He's just on the money.
So,
All right.
so NA has 3 spots, and Akon and Code, or then if we're saying they're getting second, so we're saying Peter Poyo, Young
Canada.
Rise, and Canada Cooper are making LAN.
I want clicks. I still think clicks.
Well, it was the big shitter doing it.
Big Share comes 1 place off for the story.
Yeah, he comes
And then
like
just
there.
doesn't make it to LAN.
Yeah.
Dude, Texas is going to be so empty without clicks there.
I think
that
it'll
actually
be-
happens.
I don't think it'll be any of.
Any of them.
No. I don't know. I don't think that 3rd spot in NA will be like what
Who do you think
people
it'll be then?
expect.
What's your hot take? Who's it?
I
Who
could
is
see
it?
it being someone just like not random. per
Marco
se, but I-
Pixon?
No,
Bryce?
but I can see like a Bryson Bolts or like a Backer and Pars or something, or maybe
Miro?
Duke and Miro. Yeah, maybe Dukes and Miro can get it.
Oliver OG? Is he in there?
Did you guys watch Oliver G play yesterday?
No, but I did see Oliver OG tweet about how Asian Jeff was sending the shooters and like paying people to con him. So.
He did get landed on and he smoked them, but there's a
Yeah.
lot I could say about how Oliver G played last night. But he called grand, so you know.
I'm
Great
guessing they're
region.
all real positive opinions you have.
Oh yeah.
Who's better, Oliver OG or Archie?
See, I'm actually questioning that because he looked exactly like I could not distinguish. If you put their gameplay side by side, you could not distinguish the two. I guarantee. they are both equally as shaky. And I was actually,
Really?
I thought he was a lot better, but this man was like over peak in the first game. This guy they went into late in mid game with like 3 big pots, 6 minis, splashes, and fizz, and they went into first moving with 1 fizz, and all of that shield was given to Oliver OG because he just kept taking damage. It was painful to watch, but they still got there. I think Quanti carried them with the coaching.
Damn. I've not looked into OG in a while, but
I wanted to believe, man. I was like, I was there. I was just, damn,
You're
it
not a
hurt to
believer.
watch. I'm not an
Damn.
OG believer, no.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I'm an Asian Jeff shooter, you know?
You are. You're the one who paid.
You're being paid off by Asian
Yeah.
Jeff. Okay.
Hey, we got to stick
Well,
together. There's not many of us. in this
You're being
community.
paid off by a lot of people, Boop. It feels
Yeah.
like. It feels like that's like your sort of your
Except
gimmick now.
Reason, because he would never do that.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Anyways, my donation links in the bio. So if you guys want to pay me off, you know, no one bands or anything, you know, let me know.
All right.
It's a joke.
Everybody happy? Everybody, any more thoughts on the NA and how NA is going to go, really, for the most part?
No.
It's gonna be
I think it'll be boring.
The big shit.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I just hope it's interesting at Grim getting Peanut Poyo aren't 200 points ahead by day 1. I just hope it's like they're not.
How did we swap completely? How did we go from EU having Malabuka con by 7 teams to now they're uncon? And then Peter and Poyo going the whole season uncon. Now we're looking at the lobby and it's their quad con. Like, how did this happen?
It was
Where
like
did this come from?
Grim Gate in EU was like conned by like 5 set teams or like a few set teams. So it was always really contested, but it was the same set teams. And then when they haven't qualified, obviously then it's just let Malibu Commercial be uncontested. But obviously on NA, it's just been only Peterborough and Poyo. So it's like the other teams haven't actually contested Peterborough and Poyo, know whether they beat them or not. They're probably in their head like, surely they don't win that many times. So
I also think Peterborough fucked up. I think him streaming this upper bracket was the worst thing he could do because they looked mortal. They looked bad when they were streaming, TikTok, cheater. But right? They look like I mean, maybe it's easier to get bullied when every single team has your stream open and they're all bullying you for Surge and stuff, but they didn't look like the team that we were all afraid of and made them a little bit more down to earth. It's like when you see Taylor Swift going shopping or something, like, oh, she's just like me. Peterborough's just like me, he looked weak. So I think that potentially him streaming might have been the reason why they might have some potential issues.
Peterborough looks like Taylor Swift shopping.
There's your
surrounded by
thumbnail.
Security, absolutely flooded by fans. You can't move.
They did definitely look
What the
mortal.
Osborne sounds like, actually.
Yeah, true.
They did definitely look mortal, but then again, it was like the whole gimmick of, yeah, but we're trolling while we're streaming, then we stop streaming and win a game. So I don't know. I don't know what's real and what's not. Is where I'm at. Like, I don't know what's real and what's not. Because you can be like, we're not trying as hard, but it's like the way they made that region look so easy. It's like the difference between them trying and them not trying being that significant of a difference. It felt very wrong,
I still don't like. I'm still sticking to my opinion. The hot take that I'm not convinced they're going to qualify to globals. Like, I actually am still convinced by it. Like, even when they're uncontested, struggling with Surge, and now being like 4. If they were just 2 teams, just them and one other team, that's the perfect recipe for them to like win by a mile. Win off spawn consistently, not have Fredoxy split third partying, no one coming in, and it's perfect. When you just either uncontested, you have to go fight someone, and it's not like, oh, we have loads of Surge, it's a little bit more freedom. You have to do damage. There is no downs. There is like guaranteed no matter what. And when it comes to like quadcon, it's going to be too scuffed that teams are going to look to come in. So I'm still not convinced that they're going to win. And in my opinion, I still don't know if they're going to qual globals. I think that there's too many variables they could have. There's so many variables.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I think that's fair.
Not falling for that one.
Hopefully that comes true because I can't wait for us to clip. We are gonna make the clip of you saying Queasy and that are not gonna call. We're gonna turn that into a clip.
Just start the video with Thomas's shit.
That will be
cut off.
That will be the first TikTok we make for the FNtasia podcast for sure. Okay. It will be about that. All right. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy with what we have here. I like the bracket format. It was better than the win core dud stuff we did last week. For sure. So I like this.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Any last thoughts then about FNCS Grand Finals? Any predictions around it? Beyond what we've talked about so far.
Qualifiers, fucking snooze fest.
Please change the
semi-finals.
Yeah.
Did anyone else feel like semis was kind of a snooze fest as well?
Yeah.
This FNCS has been a snooze fest.
But mid, no hype.
And we can do it again in 30 days again.
Grand finals, that's at least better than mid. So it'll be good to watch.
If Peterborough and Poyo win every game, then more of a snooze fest. But
I think EU is going to be fun.
EU will be fun. There's so many good teams.
We love EU if you haven't noticed.
Yeah. But what about Asia? What about the Asia?
Where's the 30-year-old placing in Grand?
Yeah. He's Grand Glacier as well. So he'll be cooking.
Well, that's the retirement home, I guess.
Are King and FaZe doing good on Brazil?
I think they're doing decent.
I think they want to do a cash cup.
You've asked that question into us three as if you were going to get a response. Oh yeah.
I just wanted to. I feel like I saw somebody I think I saw Suha made a tweet hyping them up, and I was like, if those guys just go back and roll Brazil, it will be the worst thing for that region.
So they did crap in the first day semis, then came second, so they won the second game. They won the second qualifier. And they didn't play the first qualifier? Oh, no, they did awful in the first qualifier. Oh, no, 19th. 19th and first, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought there was not enough rounds. Yeah, so...
But not as dominant. Not completely.
Yeah, they've won a cash cup as well.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good team on the region.
Yeah. Not rolling it, though. Okay, that's fine. We'll maybe talk more about them after grands, depending on what happens. But yeah, let's everyone, what you guys doing over the next week before grand finals? Woo, let's talk about it. Resub, what you up to?
I'm just making videos. I'm going to post one. I'm about to render it once this is done. Get that up, do some shorts and TikToks, relax, go to the gym. Just the usual stuff. Nothing interesting this time.
Harry?
Yeah, just I'm going to need to get back streaming. I've been slacking on the stream schedule, but back streaming. Like,
Of course you have.
Yeah,
Just afraid if Queasy comes in the chat, bro. It's
I know.
fine.
What if Thomas HD drops a
What if he
message
shows
in your
up?
chat?
Yeah.
I mean,
The screen just goes
I'm ready.
black.
I'm ready. The camera will go up. The cat will come back on the screen. The camera's going off.
Thomas.
But no, back streaming, watching FNCS, and honestly, like after this week, it'll be getting ready for next season because, as we said, it is very, very quick towards next FNCS.
Yeah. Boop.
I mean, it's gonna be Eval Cup tomorrow, Console Dual Cash Cup. Oh god, that we have to watch. I think there's an ESL tournament going on. Hopefully this week, at least the finals. I think I'm gonna enjoy. Yeah, I think the qualifiers are today. I'm gonna miss that one, but the finals, I think I'm gonna be enjoying it at some point. Also, still not announced. 2 weeks until Dallas. Hello. And then FNCS viewing party for EU NNA on Saturday and Sunday. So
yes. Be sure to check out any of you else. I can't speak English. Are any of you guys doing viewing parties? Harry, Reese?
No, keep my arse to stream, man.
Okay. Well, everyone, be sure to check out Boop's viewing party. Check him out. Watch his stream for some amazing analysis and commentary over the FNCS weekend. Me and myself. What?
I was just about to ask what you're doing, but you got to it already. So
yeah, no, I'm just trying to get on the mend, man. I still feel awful. But hopefully I feel better by the weekends. We got Hotline FN tomorrow. We have Canada coming on. So being myself, Ozzy and Canada should get some spicy grand finals, hot takes and stuff. And then other than that, yeah, I'll just be chilling, watching Boop stream probably and waffling. You're going to do your grand finals prediction stream, right?
Oh yeah, on Friday I'm going to do my own personal grand finals prediction.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
So if you care about that, great takes, I'll be there.
Okay, perfect. Well, guys, thank you all for listening. Be sure to check out everyone on the. I don't even know what I say at this bit usually. I miss Bala and Shire, man. They sorted all this shit out.
You want me to end it?
Yeah, actually, one of these next shows, I think during the off season, we're gonna have each of you host the show. Or one pod each. Yeah, we'll do that.
We'll take on some responsibility.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Then I have to try, Levin.
The whole point of this was I don't try and I just show up. I don't want to do that.
You gotta become the bigger dog.
Yeah, the biggest dog. Yeah.
I don't know if that's doable, man.
So big already, man.
Hold on.
I'm sorry for audio listeners.
Okay, well, yeah. So for anyone that's joining now, as if you've watched the live and you just joined in, you can watch it on YouTube straight away, or you can listen to it on Spotify and Apple. When you're cranking in creative, chuck it on in the background. But yeah, other than that, peace out, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we will see you for grand finals reactions next week, Monday, 3 p.m. same time as today. Have a lovely, lovely day, guys.